right, guys, we are going to hit the ground running this morning. Welcome. You are locked and loaded. Rumble.com/ElevateTV. This is live from America, and I am your ever so humble, God-fearing host of the show, Jeremy Harrell, fighting every day for this country live from the red Hawkeye state of Iowa. Thank you very much for joining in here on Rumble and on YouTube. Let me introduce to you the man, the myth, the legend, producer Eli. How are we doing today, sir?
What's going on, LFA TV family and patriots? Time to hit the Rumble button, time to hit the share button. Always a lot of news to get to, and we need your help. So let's share the show out. Let's go.
Let's share it out. Let's get it out. I want to say happy birthday to Lila. Happy birthday to Lila. Happy birthday, dear Lila. Happy birthday, Lila. Jay Deeds is in the building. WB Patriot. Big Mama Campbell. Denise 9904. Amanda Collins is in the building. As always, the great guy Gary is here. Want to give a big shout out to the one, the only Suzanne Vermontis Fun Mom in the building. Liz Ellis here. How you doing, Liz Ellis? Bad Moon Tammy. Jennifer. Rumble for Ma Bell. CLVR. GR Messick. Wheezy 113. The likes of which no one. Lucy Mom. DeCluse Mustache. Hope's 1972 bowling fan is here. Arm Banshee is A-N-M Banshee. Penny Winter. How you doing, Penny? Good to see you. M. Rowe is here. Twin Spin 23. Kenria's mom. Arm Elliott 59. How you doing? Love you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Rita in the live chat. Dan Burton is here this morning. Dolly Diva. Sorry if I don't catch your name, by the way. That Rumble chat's going quite fast. Let's see. J.A. Fish. Nick 4419. 3 Sheets to the Wind. I love that name. And one more here. Let's give it to Alice Trevino. Good morning again. Happy birthday to those who've got a birthday out there. Great to have you guys here. Sean and Brennan killing it. You know what sucks, Eli, is that every day, because I'm getting ready for the show, every day for 4 years. Well, not for 4 years, because he did switch times once. But for a very long time now, I've been, I listen to Sean and Brennan as I get ready for my show. Kind of gets me pumped up. You know, the way Sean left off his show today kind of kept me pumped up. I'm gonna carry on with that energy here. Taking off right where Sean left off, actually, showing Hunter and Tucker. Well, I've got some more disappointment to show you as well. But, Eli, I got to say, Sean leaving Friday will be a sad moment because I won't be able to listen to him anymore. An even sadder moment because I'm going to be on at 1 when he's on, and I don't get to watch him live. But you can bet your bottom dollar I'll be going and watch it afterwards.
Damn Skippy. We'll miss him. Sean has been a staple. He's been a pillar of this friggin' network, and it's going to suck to see him go.
Yep.
We're very happy for all his success and future success, both him and Brennan.
Yes, absolutely. It's been like family for so long. So, make sure you continue to watch him over there on the Bongino Network. I want to say hello to Bonnie from the Quad Cities right here in my backyard. Happy birthday to Bonnie, too. Happy birthday, dear Bonnie. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Dawn says we're going to miss him so very much. We certainly are. How can you not? But you know what? He's still just a social media message away. He's still a phone call away. You'll watch him every day. You follow him. It won't even feel like anything, right? Jeremy, raid his stream. Well, then I would make everybody leave Will. See, the difference between LFA TV and other shows is if it was just me and nobody else was here, I'd hand it off afterwards to somebody else. You know what I mean? If it was just me and nobody else here. But Will comes on next, and raiding the stream would push all the audience out. So, we obviously don't want to do that to Will either. But you know what? Everybody can watch whatever they want, whenever they want, and that's why it's called streaming, and that's why we love it. So, S. Rose says hello from Michigan. So, no more chatting. Oh, so you're going to be, are you driving? All right. I do want to say hello to some people over on YouTube as well. That Lucky One, Ass Hat 3 Productions, Mr. Good Citizen, Beautiful Bill, Team Hype TV, Truth Only 7 777 says, to stop this socialist communism crap, Trump needs the administration to invoke the 1954 Communism Act to remove these nuts from office and kick them from our country. Why do you think that they won't embrace communism with their words fully? Because they know of that 1954 Communism Act. So they'll call it democratic socialism instead. You know, they're really good at changing the names of things, right? Amy Mullins says Trump needs to come out and stop communism. Well, I believe you're right, and I believe that that's what the Republicans should be running on, and as well focusing now heavy from here on out on our own economy, which we are going to break down today, all right? LFATV.us, if it is your first time watching, don't forget, LFATV.us is our official website. That is where you can go and get all of your daily LFA TV needs and news. You can watch current and past shows. You can watch short clips. Sign up for the newsletter, read current news, and even sign up to be a one-time monthly donor. And we have an incredible store there as well where you can get Rise Up coffee and so many other things. Do not forget LFATV.us. We also have an official Facebook page. We'd love for you to join that as well. We post short clips there, things of that nature. Event schedule, places we're going to be, things we're going to do. Please go over there. Follow the LFATV Facebook page. Give us a follow, and we'd really appreciate that as well. And last but not least, wherever you get your podcast, Live from America with Jeremy Harrell. Live from America with Jeremy Harrell, wherever you get your podcast. And what that's going to do is whether you listen on Spotify or iTunes or whatever, you'll be able to search that. And both Rise Up and Live from America come with that, okay? All right, we're gonna pick up right where Sean left off, and that's gonna be with these people that have fallen so far from the front lines. Tucker Carlson, he did the same dog and pony show with Hunter Biden, the same exact one as Sean Ryan did. Think about this. You're Tucker Carlson, the person who was absolutely hell-bent on the Biden crime family, the person who brought people in to show proof of the criminal activities that were going on inside the Biden family, Tony Bobulinski. You had Sean Ryan, who once would have destroyed Hunter Biden in an interview based on his laptop, his actions, his Beijing deals, his China propaganda, and his China deals, his gas and energy stuff, all of that funneled money, all of that stuff, the Coke bag. 5 years ago, they would have absolutely eviscerated Hunter Biden. What do they do today? Play touch butt in the park with each other. As Sean says, two neocons sitting there holding hands, singing Kumbaya. What happened to these people? M. Rowe, I did see where Abigail Spanberger got booed. I was actually going to play it yesterday, but we didn't have enough time. Definitely have everybody go search that up. It's kind of funny. What happened to these people? Like, do you think if Sean Farish was able to interview Hunter Biden today, or if I was able to interview Hunter Biden today, or if Mike Crispy was able to interview Hunter Biden today, or Kevin Smith, or Dan Bongino, or anyone that is still fighting for this country on a day-to-day basis, do you think that they would sit there and go, wow, well, you're incredible. Wow, I never meant that when I said it. I never meant that that you were a womanizer, a human trafficker, a money launderer through your terrible paintings. I never meant any of that. I only wish good on you, Hunter. I don't understand this. I'll never understand this. So we're going to pick up right where Sean left off. What happened to all these people and how far they have fallen? How have they gone crazy? Where was their pivot point from defending the country, fighting for what's right, holding Trump accountable, but also being loyal to your vote to him as he's accomplishing the things that you voted for him to do, fulfilling the promises one after the other? What happened to these people? Where was this moment where they lost their marbles? And I'm not saying that because they disagree with us. And I'm not saying that because they disagree with Trump. I'm saying that because they lost their marbles. They went from saying one thing about everything to saying something completely different about everything. It isn't like it was a slow change. It isn't like it was a one catastrophic moment where it started, metastasizing into something bigger and bigger and bigger. It was one day these people thought this way about X, Y, and Z, and the next day they all thought the 180 opposite of those same exact topics. It is the weirdest thing to me, and I'll leave that up to you guys for speculation as to what happened.
So the only answer might be Democrats getting in there and stopping this administration. Democrats getting in there and...
Whoa. You know who that was? Owen Schroyer, formerly of InfoWars, clean-cut guy, nice clean-cut beard, wore a suit, fought for free speech and everything, was on the front lines, did many, many events with him. Many. And he says, this?
So the only answer might be Democrats getting in there and stopping this administration. Democrats getting in there and stopping Trump from all the damage he's doing to this country. It might be the only option. That's what people are realizing. Wake up, guys. Wake up, MAGA. Hey, I get it. You thought it was all great. No. Wake up. Wake up. Trump is George Bush, maybe worse. The economy's not getting any better. The Pentagon is broke. The debt is at a record high. Americans' debt is at a record high. You're in the Middle East. Americans are coming back in body bags. Wake up. Wake up. You have been sold out. Trump sold you out. And I wonder how many of these Americans that signed up for the military, a 19-year-old girl, a 19-year-old girl signs up for the military. She's dead now. I wonder if she signed up because she believed Donald Trump.
What happened to him spiritually? What happened to him mentally? What happened to him emotionally? What happened to him physically? Show me on this doll where it hurts on your butt. Show me right on this doll where you hurt the most, Owen. Eli, we've seen these people, Kathy Griffin, right? She's a perfect example. We've seen these people that absolutely lose their marbles and they take any chance that they can get to say Trump bad, racist, Islamophobe, and they go absolutely batshit crazy and they physically change, for the worst. They don't physically change for the better. They don't become, more clean cut, better looking, take care of themselves more, present themselves more. They fall down this hole. So you might easily be able to say money changed them. Somebody paid them off. But that doesn't explain their physical and their spiritual change. It's got to be something more. It's got to be evil. It's got to be downright demonic.
I don't know what the hell's going on, but he looks like My Name is Earl, and he just stepped out of a trailer park. No offense to anybody who may live in a trailer park.
Been there myself.
When you change your appearance from the clean-cut, nice-looking guy that wore suits, he had his hair combed, and now he's got a porn stash and this long, scraggly, weird hair. Somehow he also got this new widow's peak. I don't know where the hell that came from. The transformation is the strangest thing, and all of a sudden they think they're the normal ones. I'll never understand that.
Wow. Xena says, Jeremy, when these losers move away from God, this is who they become. That's actually a pretty good point. By the way, Eli, lived in 4 trailer parks in my life. And someday, when I don't want a big house to clean and operate, I'm going to go back to one. But you know what Eli's saying. He's talking about the trash ones. I don't understand. I really don't. What happened to these people? Now, some of them still look the same. Tucker still looks the same, but acts completely different. So again, if it's not, I mean, I guess it could be money. I guess they could be getting paid by somebody. But he spoke of a 19-year-old girl. Oh, go ahead, Eli. Go ahead before I move on, because I'm gonna go off on a thing here.
Makes me wonder if it might be something else too. Now this is extremely, extremely conspiratorial, but I wonder if there was something else in that jab, and I wonder if these guys got that jab, and these guys, who are in control of these people can just flip the switch.
DeCluse says, 2 trailer park girls go round the outside, round the outside, round the outside. Prime Auto said Tucker got attacked by demons. He said he did. No, you're right, but I don't know if that was a recent demonic attack within the last few years or if that was, I thought he was talking about that in the past. I mean, I could be wrong, but it could be. It could be a number of things. It could be money. It could be spiritual. It could be a combination of the two. It could be, vax and boosted. Meaning, Eli and I have watched people literally fall from everything that they ever were to something completely different because of the vax and the booster. Not to say that if you've got vaccinated or boosted, that will happen to you, but we're saying we've seen that physically with our own eyes. So it could be that. I doubt it's that, though. To completely lose all your morals, that's more of a deep inner spiritual choice. That's not effects physically from a vaccination. You know what I mean? Maybe it's all of the above. I don't know. I have no idea. But let's get to the Army vet's wife says, I think all these people that now seemingly lost their mind got a specific jab. They could have, but what? I mean, how do you explain all the people that got it that haven't, gone the way of a troll or a demonic monster? I mean, he looks like Kathy Griffin, and they look like monsters. And you got your Candace Owens too. She didn't physically change, but boy did she. You got to ask yourself this. I'm not trying to get on a Candace, conspiracy, TPUSA, Charlie Kirk thing here. I don't want to get off on a big tangent here. But do you think that her best friend, Charlie, would condone what she is doing to his entire family through her targeting of Erica? Even if the worst is possible, that Erica was involved somehow, do you think Charlie would want all of that brought on his family where his children are? Do you think Charlie would want somebody out there negatively affecting his family's future, his children, putting them at risk because they're obviously, are crazy people out there? I'd say ask Charlie, but one of them got him. So let's just say that the worst case scenario is Candace is right, that Erica had something to do with it. Do you think Charlie in heaven is going, get her? Get her. Or do you think, if that is the worst case scenario, that God will have that vengeance and Charlie would rather his family be left alone for the sake of his children? When you think of it like that, ask yourself, what happened to Candace and her integrity? What happened to Owen and his integrity? What happened to Tucker and his, Sean Ryan and his, Ryan Matta and his, and the list goes on and on and on and on. Where is integrity? Where is moral compass? Where is God-centered structure in doing what these people have turned to do? Again, if you ever need to have an axe to grind, or somebody does something that you don't agree with, or Trump needs to be held accountable, or the party needs to be held accountable, you say that, absolutely. But you don't go the way of what these guys have gone. And these guys are out to hurt people. That's what they want. They want to hurt the party. They want to hurt Trump. They want to hurt Erica. They want to hurt you. They want to hurt me. They want to hurt Eli. These people want to just cause pain and damage wherever they go. Do you know what that sounds like to me? That sounds to me like the far left. It sounds exactly like that to me. Threatening people's safety, threatening their jobs, saying they're going to dox their families, saying that they would have been better off being assassinated. Like, these are words that I've heard these people that used to be decent people say. Can you imagine that? No matter how mad you got at something, could you imagine that? Saying some of these things that they've said about people that they used to work with. I don't know, man. You know what the only thing we can do? Pray. The only thing we can do is pray for them, pray for us, pray for each other, that we don't fall down that same pattern and that we don't fall down that same path. That's what we got to do. Got to pray for them, got to pray for ourselves, got to pray for each other, got to pray for our families, and we've got to pray for this nation and this president. It's the only thing that I can think of at this point. I am absolutely, after watching that Tucker Hunter interview, I realized how fake everything really is. How fake everybody actually really is. I just don't see how you could have Hunter Biden on your talk show or on your podcast or anywhere that you have a public platform and sing Kumbaya together with that guy after what him and his family did and still continue to do. That doesn't mean that I wish ill on them. I don't want them dead. But I can't say the same about the other people that have started to side with them. They literally do want people dead. I never thought that we would see so many people in the Republican Party regress to be whatever this anarchist, strong, libertarian mix of both the far left and the far right. This is like a hybrid party now. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is in it. Owen Schroyer's in it. Thomas Massey is in it. Ryan Madda is in it. Tucker is in it. It's like a weird hybrid party. And now they're saying they have mega donors to form a third party. I guess we'll see what happens. Let's go to the Lord in prayer, as we are a little late for that. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Cool Truck says, just shows that Tucker Carlson was never MAGA. But that's, to try to rationalize that, and like, MAGA does not mean, by the way, for those that might be watching on the left, MAGA does not mean loyalty to Trump. Trump started the Make America Great Again movement that was a play off a Ronald Reagan speech, and which turned into a Reagan-esque kind of movement as well. Make America Great Again precedes Donald Trump and will be there after Donald Trump. It is a conservative mission to make America great again. And I've heard this question all through the last decade. When was America great? Here's what I say. Take the great things from 1776. Take the great things from 1860. Take the great things from the turn of the century into the 1900s. Take the great things of coming out of the Depression. Take the great things of winning World War II and that time period. Take the greatest things from defeating the Russians in the Cold War. Take the great things from when we all band together after the towers come down. You take the greatest things from all of those decades and centuries, and that is what we bring back to the present. That feeling, that camaraderie, that patriotism, that togetherness, that unification, that never say die attitude, that we'll keep getting back up no matter what, that I'm going to go out there and capture the American dream, not wait for it to be delivered to my friggin' mailbox. That is Make America Great Again. It'll be here long after Donald Trump, so you might as well get used to saying it. So when somebody says to you, when was America great? Say, what era would you like me to talk about? Would you like me to talk about the 1860s? Well, there was slaves. And guess what? The Republican Party was built to abolish it. Is that not a great thing? Was that not a great time in our history? When men and women signed up at a young age to go knowing they were going to go die for their country, more than likely, mostly men at that time. Was that a bad time in history? Really? Because you're on your iPhone today, you're watching TV today saying the most stupid things that you can. That was a pretty great time. Maybe not for them at that moment, but for what it meant, it was pretty great. That's Make America Great Again. I never thought that we would be where we are in this country this early with the people of the country. So, anyway, that's how I'll open the show today. Let's have our first slurp and let's get to it. Jersey Jane says, that's right, Jeremy, we've always been a great country. That's your answer. We've always been a great country. We've always been a great country that's made strides to be a better country and to do better things for the people of this country and around the world. That's real leadership. It is what it is. To those people, I say, I'll pray for you. Now, let's get to the first and foremost section of the day today. Again, if you've not reached down and hit that thumbs up or that like yet, please do that for us now. And let's get busy. What's the real state of President Trump's economy? You know, the biggest thing that, the biggest hurdle for a person who voted for President Trump to overcome right now is a conversation about the economy. Why? Not because it's worse than Joe Biden's, but because it's not as good at this moment as we were promised. That's why. If you overpromise and you underdeliver in a microwave society, as we are today, you're going to have to answer for that. So I'm going to show you where the economy's strong. You all obviously know where it's weak, and that is, you know, out of our wallets, out of our pocketbooks, out of our purses. That's where the economy feels weak. But the economy is also a lot stronger in many ways that you don't know while you're paying like this. But that's all that people care about because, hey, the economy, stupid. That is what wins and loses elections. Well, that and money. But you know what I'm saying. You have to feel it as a voter to take that vote and go give it to who you think is going to do better for you. Most people don't care about the underlying foundation of a good economy for the country that will eventually get to you. They care about what is now. And as of right now, it's not easy as a regular person, as a regular voter, to say, I love the economy where it is. Nobody does. Now, somebody said something the other day that I would never debate this kid. Can't remember his name real quick. As soon as I say it, most of you will probably know it. Adam Mockler, young kid from Chicago. Adam Mockler, his team reached out to me yesterday and asked me if I'd like to come and debate. Asked me if I'd like to come to Chicago or do it virtually and do a one-on-one debate with him because they're looking for fiery conservatives to have one-on-one debates with. Unbeknownst to me at the time, Kevin went on with him last week. I didn't know that until today. Super sharp, bright young kid. Definitely got his views. But he's not one of these crazy people that just say, this is happening without backing it up. He'll back it up. He's got the facts. I graciously accepted immediately. Graciously accepted. And I'll guarantee you one thing that we're going to talk about that he's going to want to debate is the economy. So, over the next 15 minutes, specifically after this video that you're about to see, we're going to break down some real economy numbers. Go to the video first, though.
Joining us now, Director of the National Economic Council, Kevin Hassett. Welcome back to Fox News Sunday.
Thanks, it's great to be here.
Okay, let's start with a couple of polls. On the condition of the economy, what folks told us is 76% of them say it's fair or poor. And when we asked about their personal financial situation, the largest number came in from those who report they are falling behind. We have talked about this before. When can Americans expect relief?
Well, we've already seen that real wages under President Trump, which is wages after inflation, have gone up about $1,000 for the typical American middle-class family and about $4,000 for the typical manufacturing worker or construction worker. And so people are making more money than they're having to pay at higher prices. But the prices went up so much under Joe Biden, we totally understand why people are still frustrated when they go to the grocery store. I go to the grocery store myself, and I'm just stunned still at the price of beef and other products. But the bottom line is that if you want to have higher welfare for American people, then you need factory construction, you need lots and lots of job creation and machine purchases. And so right now, as an example, we've got 83,000 or so people building new factories in the U.S. because of Trump's economic policies. And we've got the highest investment data that we've ever seen. All the way in March was like the best month ever, so that they're putting machines in the factories. And as those factories turn on, then we're going to have more construction jobs, more manufacturing jobs. And again, those are average wages of $4,000. Under Joe Biden, manufacturing wages, I'm not filibustering, I'm about to end. Under Joe Biden, manufacturing employment went down 233,000 workers, and wages dropped for the typical American family by $3,000. Now we've got to make up, so we're plus 1,000, he was minus 3. But we're making progress.
So while you lay out that data, and it's promising and it sounds good for the future, people right now do not feel the benefits of that just yet. And so our polling also shows us this, that when we're asked folks which political party will do a better job, they give a 9-point advantage to Democrats on the economy, 10 points on inflation and prices, 22-point advantage on income equality, which is something we hear a lot about on the campaign trail. So I hear you acknowledging that there is an issue, but listen, we're weeks away from early voting starting in some states. Do you think there needs to be more of a message of empathy? We understand that you are struggling out there versus saying, it's great, you just haven't felt it yet.
You're right, but people absolutely are feeling legitimate problems when they go to the grocery store, which are problems that were created because of the runaway inflation of the previous administration. But the bottom line is that if you actually look at a survey like that, did anyone ask those people, how do you think the economy is going to work if it's run by socialists? How do you think it's going to be if the government gets to run all the stores and tell you what the price of everything is? What are you going to do when the stores, like in every socialist country, are all empty? Are you still going to think that Democrats are the right choice for you? And so I wonder about exactly how that poll was worded and whether people have looked at the proposals of these really, really anti-economic socialists and all the harm that they would do to the economy is so obvious that I would guess that there's an easy way to craft a poll where the Democratic Socialists in particular get about 1% of the polls.
Well, and there is that delineation because there are a lot of Democrats who say we don't adopt the DSA positions and we don't want, government ownership of businesses and those kinds of things. So that's something that party's got to hash out. We're going to do a little bit more on that later in the show. But you mentioned wage growth. So I want to point this out from Semaphore. They say wage growth slid to 3.2% in the latest numbers, the lowest in 5 years and below current inflation of 3.5%. That gap between wage growth and rising prices is likely to make consumers feel more squeezed. Now, we're going to get new inflation numbers this week. What do you anticipate?
We will, yeah. Well, yeah, and I think that, we saw the last inflation number for CPI was negative and the core was 0. The last inflation number for PCE was negative and core was negative. And so that the inflation numbers that we're seeing are really coming down rapidly while wage growth is through the roof, especially for blue-collar workers. And so I think that they're correct. The people who write about this are correct about the latest jobs report, which has a different measure of overall inflation and wage growth. But the bottom line is...
All right, we're going to stop it right there. By the way, She had a great line of questioning there. Here's the problem. Let me ask you guys all a quick question, okay? And if you want to answer it, answer it. If you want to talk about something else like some people do, then you can do that. But here's my question. What do you think takes longer to hit the consumer/voter? Increasing the size of the federal government and implementing new programs for people to have their families subsidized with taxpayer dollars, or Republicans' way of doing things, bringing in the manufacturing investments money, building factories, putting all of those factory workers to work after you've built the plant, and then job growth happens. What takes longer? We'll pull up the Rumble chat here. Does it take longer for government to start easing the pain of the people, or does it take longer for the private sector to start easing the financial pain for the people? I guess that's a better way to ask the question. Which one takes longer? Melly, Republican ways take longer. Bringing in the manufacturing, the more jobs. Private sector takes longer. Government. Kit Kat says government. I don't know what that means. If you're saying the government takes longer, maybe that's what you mean. Republicans' way, private sector. Williams says government. The first one, building, rebuilding, the private sector. So, probably more jobs, bringing in the private sector. Whoever's saying private sector, you're correct. Private sector takes a lot longer. Government programs, government-run programs, and increasing the size of the government, that takes a lot less time. So what happens when Democrats get in? When Democrats get in, people who are feeling the hurt, they feel relief quicker. So what happens is when a Republican, and this is done at any level, this can be done at governor level, this can be done at president level, when a Republican gets elected, 9 times out of 10, it's because the Democrats before the Republicans destroyed the economy. Not made it better. Destroyed it. Maybe not by these official numbers that we're talking about, but with the way people feel when they spend. That's why they end up voting Republican. They vote Republican because they've had enough Democrats. Then they vote Republican, and they give Republicans 4 years. And if it's not fixed in 4 years, they go back to voting Democrat. And what happens is when they vote Democrat, they get an early payout. They get early big government. They get early programs. They get early relief. They feel it right away. But after about 2 years, that starts wearing off. That's why the people go back and vote Republican. Had you voted Republican and then voted Republican again, the foundation of your country economically would be far greater, because it takes longer for that hurt to be relieved at a voter or consumer level when you do it the right way. Good things take time. Patience, ladies and gentlemen. Good things come to those who wait. Private sector jobs always take longer, but they produce far more fruit and they're far stronger. And which means that the country as a whole is not as fragile financially and is not susceptible to a recession or a depression. But the problem is when you live in 2026, they want what they want and they want it now. Claremont, New Hampshire is a good analogy or a good example of this. I used to live in Claremont, New Hampshire. It is an absolute suck town. They suck everything from you and give you nothing. It's the highest tax town in New Hampshire and one of the poorest with the highest homeless and drug-addicted rates in the state. They have schools that weren't crediting their students for years concurrently. They have a school now that they cannot budget for the entire year to keep open because it's such a failing tiny little city. They call it a city, but it's really a town. 15,000 people. Not even anymore. 13,000. Why is that? Because the school board, the city council, the county clerk's position, the county commissioner positions have all been held by Democrats for 50 friggin' years. And they can't understand that doing the same thing, expecting a different result, but not getting the same result, actually getting a worse result, can be attributed to who's running things. You see what I'm saying? So, as I've said, Democrats' way of doing things is bigger government, let the government handle it, right? El Said up in Michigan, he says it's better to get these big corporations out of the way and give taxes and let the government run your health care. He's saying it's better for the government to run your personal health care than the private sector because they price gouge and they want more money. When has government run anything ever? Is the DMV good? Is the Department of Veterans Affairs good? Is the Department of Education run well? Is the USPS run well? No. So if the country could just keep its pants on for 5 seconds and vote Republicans in twice in a row, you'd see especially now that you have MAGA Republicans. Back in George Bush's day, you had all rhinos. That didn't matter back then. Although it was still better than the Democrats' plan. Why do you think we got President Trump in 2016? People on the left that watch over on YouTube, who do you think gave this country President Donald J. Trump in 2016? Obama. People were so sick of the left way of doing things that they voted for Trump. And Trump did win twice, back to back. And you would see a very different economy today. And it's still better than Joe Biden's. Let me say that again. You'd see a very different economy today, and the economy today is still better than Joe Biden's was. You're still paying less for gas. You still have more money in your 401k. The stock market, which is basically the driving engine of why your economy looks, is still hitting record highs. Oh, and the border's closed, and you're not adding millions more on top of the millions that came in of subsidy illegal alien losers who suck everything from you and give you what in return? Nothing. Let's get to this. I'm going to pull this up for you here. Hopefully you'll be able to see all this. All terms included. Same categories, correct sides. Middle, down the middle. Inflation. Biden at his worst. 9.1%. Trump, worst current peak inflation, 3.8%. Because you have to take it a year after he's in, not when he takes over. Inflation, average inflation. 5.0% under Joe Biden for 4 years. President Trump so far, 2.7 to 3.0. Gas prices. Peak national average under Joe Biden, $5.01. Peak national average under President Trump, $4.52. Food inflation, 2 to 3% on Donald Trump, 13.5 under Biden. See, when you break it down, it doesn't look as bad as the doomers are telling you, does it? Even though you're not feeling it the way you were promised yet. That's the problem. Utility inflation, 2 to 4% utility inflation under Trump, 10 to 15 under Biden. Illegal immigration, come on. Net negative, 2 million illegal immigrant net loss. Ladies and gentlemen, 10.8 plus under Joe Biden. There's your real pain point. That's why your rent is high. That's why your mortgage rates are the way they are. That's why the economy is the way it is. Because we absorbed 20 million people in 4 years. What you saw in that little island of Spain, that was nothing compared to what we experienced. You can't flood that many people in, folks. And then murder rate. A murder decline, 15% under President Trump. Murder surge under Biden, plus 30%. Now, here's the big problem. Go ahead and Google this yourself. I did. How much was a gallon of gas when oil was at $120 a barrel compared to right now when oil is just under $80 a barrel? Or I don't know what it is at this current moment. Hold on. Let's Let's look it up, what the current price is today, right now. 83. When oil traded near $120 a barrel, such as during spikes in 2022 and 2008, retail gasoline in the U.S. typically cost between $4 and $4.80 a gallon, depending on seasonal demand. So, riddle me this, Batman. How are we paying the same amount of gas right now when a barrel of oil is $40 less? Oh, by the way, and millions of people have electric cars these days. So the demand is not as high. So the demand is not as high because of how many people have electric cars these days. Oil is $40 less a barrel than it was then. And here we are. Paying the same price for gas. You still going to blame that on the President of the United States of America? I thought that the president, Eli, didn't dictate the oil and gas markets. From 2020 to 2024, stupid, the president doesn't even set those prices. Well, this would prove that they were absolutely correct. He doesn't set those prices.
You know how the leftards work. He only sets the prices when it helps explain their agenda, which they can't explain to begin with.
Yep. So you can do that little experiment yourself. Why was gas the same price today as it was when oil was $40 more, when people had less electric vehicles? Riddle me that one. How is that whoever is the president's fault? Now, I went a little further down the rabbit hole this morning. Went to Grok. Okay? I went to Grok and I said this. How many private sector jobs were created by Trump in his first term? Now, you're really going to love the line of questioning that I took here. Okay? By the way, it tells you where it pulls all this information from. Most of these, when it's searching, is searching through government data like crazy. From every administration, okay? So you're really going to get a kick out of this. They say that Joe Biden created 13 million jobs, that he's the biggest and best job creator and got the most votes than any president in history, right? Well, let's break that down, shall we? Because you can't count government jobs and you can't count bounce back jobs from COVID. Those aren't created jobs, and we're going to prove it. Here's the line of questioning that I had. When I asked how many private sector jobs were created by Trump in his first term, do you want to know what it said at first? Approximately a net loss of 2.2 million private sector jobs, specifically around negative 2.19 million. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, current employment statistics, and it says from January 2017, starting the job market at 123,312,000, ending when he left in January of 2021 at 121,122,000, which is a net negative. But wait, that doesn't make any sense. That didn't make any sense to me. So then I asked it this. How about prior to COVID layoffs? Uh-oh. See what it did there is it took the COVID jobs lost and put that into President Trump's private sector gains. And it did the same thing in reverse for Joe Biden's created jobs, which are not real. Prior to the COVID-19 layoffs, you're talking January 17th to February of 2020. So 3 years. Private sector employment rose by approximately 6.1 million jobs. Eli, that man created 6.1 million jobs in 3 years. Had he had that next year, it was ramping up. They said that he would have created, if you do a projection from that time and what was going on with the scale of how much that was increasing, said he would have created 8 million jobs in his first 4 years. So if you take off the COVID layoffs, he actually created 6.1 million jobs in just 3 years. See, you really got to look into that data, and you got to stop listening, because if you listen to what the mainstream news would say, they would say this: oh, he had a net negative of 2.2 million private sector jobs from January 17 to January 2021. But you take out COVID, he actually created 6.1 million. Pretty incredible, huh? So then I came down here and I said, how many private sector jobs did Joe Biden create in his presidency if you take out jobs that returned after COVID? Don't give me a total of his presidency without taking that into consideration. So, I'm actually impressed here. 5.3 million private sector jobs above the pre-COVID peak by the end of Biden's terms. Not 13 million, folks. 5.3 million. So President Trump created 1 million more jobs in one less year than Joe Biden did if you remove the COVID stuff. Because whether you like it or not, whether you want to admit it or not, the COVID stuff matters. It's not real-time information in a real functioning economy. You sent everybody home and you fired them. So if you're just looking at straight up who's better at creating private sector jobs, by a mile, Donald Trump created 1 million more jobs in one less year. So I asked how this was calculated. It gave me all that information as well. Gave me all of the data points in which it pulled it from. And I said, how many government jobs did Joe Biden create, including all private sector data? 1.77 million. So Joe Biden created 5.3 million sector jobs, private sector jobs, and almost 2 million government jobs. So that means that the other 6 point something million were all bounce back jobs. They weren't real. You have to take that into consideration. So when people say Democrats are better for the economy because they create better private or more private sector jobs, that's a flat out false statement. It's not true. So I asked this: how many private sector jobs did Obama create in his 8 years? 11.8 million. Pretty damn good. But if President Trump would have gotten another year and they had projected him to have 2 more million jobs created based on what he had done at that point, then he would far outperform even Obama. Because Obama would have only created less than 12 million in 8 years, which Trump would have done 8 in 4. You see, this is real research, folks. How many private sector jobs has Trump created so far to date in his second term? Less than 1 million in 1 year and a year and a half. 877,000. He's slacking. He's slacking right now. But what do you think is going to happen when those 83,000 manufacturing plants that gentleman was speaking of in the very beginning of this show come to fruition and they're actually working, and construction workers are there full time, and the workers of that factory go there and work full time? What do you think is going to happen to the job market? It's going to explode. He's going to create 2 million a year every year after that happens, just like he did his first term. This is real research. So I asked, based on the calculations, if the Iran war were to end, understanding the groundwork that Trump has built so far in his second term with infrastructure, trade deals, deficits, tariffs, and investments into America, what do you think his overall private sector job growth numbers will be as of January 2029? It says realistic, 3 to 5 million. But it can't really predict. It'll just say ballpark, realistic, 3 to 5 million. I guess we'll see at the end of 2029 whether that was right or not. But I'm gonna predict right now it's gonna be 7 million when it's all said and done. That's what I'm gonna predict. 3 years of 2 million jobs a year, and this first year of his presidency, fighting everything he's had to fight, literally coming off of the worst presidency in the last 20 years. I guess we'll see where we're at, because he had to lay the groundwork this first year and a half. Now just get done that war in Iran. See, I called it a war, everybody, so everybody can be happy. Finish that. Get done with that. Focus on this. Win the presidency in 2029. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed that little bit of a lesson there on actual economy numbers, taking out COVID, removing COVID, because you can't have that in there and have accurate numbers. And I can't wait to bring that to that very bright young man, Mr. Mockler, because I know we're going to talk about that. We'll be right back.
In the long history of the world, the struggle to survive has been a constant. The human spirit has been frequently tested. Every man has had his own struggle. Every man has made sacrifices. And every man has been pushed beyond their limits. Survival is crucial. The desire to be prepared has never wavered. Generations that came before us realized the importance of gaining every advantage. How you face adversity could change your life. Success depends on it. History is defined by it. Our spirit is fueled by it. Our strength comes in many forms. The strength to fight, the strength to overcome, the strength to believe, the strength to win, the strength to rise. Rise up, coffee. Rise up to meet your challenge.
JeremyHerald.com or LFATV.us. Eli, somebody in the YouTube chat said, host is definitely on coke. Look at those eyes.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Then, Eli, I said, can't argue those numbers. AI slop. Host is taking AI slop and putting it out there as facts. Imagine. Actually, the AI slop from Grok gave me all government websites except for 2 from 3 administrations. From 3 separate administrations. Actually, from 4, because I went all the way back to Bush. And I got all of the data and all the revised data. And then you know what they said after that, Eli? Government sites. Ha, 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 your worldview is skewed. How else do you prove anything to anyone these days? Is my question.
They're absolutely hilarious over there. You know, you can tell us all the livelong day that you've got a job, you don't have a job. And if this is your job, that's really friggin' sad because you're probably getting paid peanuts. You're being used just to sit here all day. You suck. You're on coke. You're gay. You're lying. You're here for more than 3 hours. Don't get us wrong. We really appreciate the patronage and the support and the views, but get a life.
Unreal. Unreal. Well, you know what? I would like to say, since we were talking about Hunter Biden this morning and since we were talking about Joe Biden this morning, this doesn't bring me joy to hear this about the former, I hate even saying it, but the former president.
It's really tough, Patty. That's the real answer. My dad in our family, excuse me, my dad is, and to this day and remains, the center of our family, not just because of who he is as the public person, but completely because of who he is to each one of us, down to his grandchildren and his great-grandchildren, his great-grandchild. He is our rock. He has been there for each one of us in a way that is hard for me to even possibly articulate and explain. And whatever you think about his politics or the decisions that he made, I can tell you this: he's the best father, the best husband, the best grandfather of anyone that I've ever read about, heard about, or even seen in a movie. He is, and so it's really hard, Patty. It's really hard. Cancer is really hard. And it's just like addiction. I was talking to somebody yesterday, And I was talking about my dad, and they told me their whole story and about how both their mother and their father have been just recently diagnosed with cancer. And it's this realization that as a Biden and having to live all of this out in public that I've had, which is this, is we are not alone in our pain. We are not alone in our grief. Is that everyone has someone in their family that has cancer. So my answer is the same as yours. It's really, really hard, and it's really sad to watch. And it's really, the only thing that I say about my dad, about his health right now, is I wish he would complain more, because it's not good. The cancer has spread, is metastasized into his bones and further. It's very painful, and it's very debilitating in many respects. But he's still out there. He's still doing his thing. He so believes in this country, so believes in the exact opposite. Oh, I know you didn't mean it negatively, is that we are as polarized as we think we are. And you know why he thinks that? Is because when he ran in 2020, 81 million people, more people than have ever voted for another person for president in the history of this country, came out and decided that they were going to return things to normalcy. Well, we got to get back in the fight again. And as long as he's alive, I promise you he's going to continue to fight.
So hold on. If Joe Biden, look, it sucks that he's got cancer that's spread to his bones and he's in a lot of pain. I don't take pleasure in that. I really don't. To be honest with you, I think for the most of Biden's later life, he's been just told what to do. Call it a puppet, call it whatever you want, call him a clone. I don't really know, don't care. I don't take pleasure in that old man being, pulled around the country and, made to campaign and made to read teleprompters and pumped full of drugs and made to debate and made to look stupid on air. I just think that what they did to that guy was horrible. I'm not saying he's not a bad guy and his family hasn't done bad things, but we all have. Nobody deserves, I don't take pleasure in that. But I also say, karma is a you-know-what. Karma's a you-know-what. I will say that too. And now your family's dealing with the karma that you have. And I'm going to ask this. If Joe Biden got all those votes and he was so great and everybody loved him and the country was back to normalcy, then why did they vote for Trump again? Democrats didn't even get the full 2 terms out of this one in back-to-back. How come? If Joe Biden saved the country, if Joe Biden added all these jobs that you say he added, if Joe Biden was such a great president, then I got to ask, why didn't the country show up for him again? Why didn't they vote for him again? Why did they immediately run to Trump in epic fashion, popular and electoral college? Again, Eli, I would love to get I'd love to get that answer on YouTube. If he was so great, if he saved the country, if he put all these jobs back, if he beat COVID, and the country was back to normalcy, why didn't they give him another chance?
Because obviously Trump stole the election, even though we've got the most secure election system in the entire world.
Yep. They're still over there going, AI, great source. So what AI does, it's like if you Google something. You use Google, right? So you Google something, and then it brings up where they got that from. If where they got that from is coming from 4 different administrations, from government sites themselves that have been revised, redacted, whatever, are you meaning to tell me that a news outlet is going to have more accurate information? Should I have gotten it from CNN? Should I have gotten it from Washington Post? Should I have gotten it from New York Times? Where would you get it from? See, AI doesn't do anything but point you in the direction. Same thing a search engine does. Google, Gemini, Grok, ChatGPT. They're all the search engines of today. Without knowing where to go in these government sites, how else would you do it? Now, if it directs you to, let's say, Newsweek, or if it directs you to Fox, then you can go, wait a minute. That's more than likely probably their own version of it. But if it takes you to the source material and you're looking at that source material, and it's brought up all that source material for you in the matter of 30 seconds, and you see that the source material is where it's sourced from, where it's the only information it can come from, where else do you look? Magic crystal ball, maybe, Eli? Maybe you look at a magic crystal ball. Maybe you got one of those 8 balls and you just ask questions and it gives you the answer. I don't know where else to look but from the source in which those numbers are coming from. If I need DMV source material, I go to the DMV. If I want labor statistics, I go to the Department of Labor. If I want to get economic statistics or voting statistics, I go to those sourced websites. And search engines, Eli, they help you get there. It's weird that we're doing a lesson on how to search things.
And today on how to use the internet 30 years after its creation.
Yeah,
actually,
exactly.
It's older than that now, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. Search engine slop. Go to the source material. I'm on the source material. Well, you didn't go there yourself. You had AI do it, but it brought me to the source material. It's the source material. All right. Anyway, we're going to leave that segment, and we're going to thank OFP Farms, actually. We're going to thank OFP Farms for getting us through that first hour and helping us start the next hour here on LFA TV's Live from America with a 15% off your entire order for this great month of August. You know what I want for my birthday? If anybody out there is going to get me a birthday present, my birthday's in 5 days. You know what I want for my birthday? I want you to go to OFP Farms and order from them. That's what I'd like. I'd like you to help Denise and Corey out. That's what I'd like. OFP Farms. 2014, they decided they were going to go off on their own and capture the American dream with a God-centered, Christ-focused company, and that's exactly what you got. Now you've got farm-crafted goat milk and tallow skincare, from soap to lotions to body butters to beard oils and deodorants, all at OFP Farms. Using promo code LFA, you'll get yourself 15% off all August. Can't beat that. If you love OFP Farms soap in the chat, let us know that you love OFP Farms. I'm sure Denise and Corey would love that. Now let's get to the easiest group of people to beat in an election. Communists and socialists. And the more infighting you have over in the Democratic Party, the better it is for us in the midterms. And I'll tell you why. Because the Democrats are doing what we decided to do in 2021. So they're 5 years behind where we were. We started purging our party in 2021. They're just starting to purge their party now. And Slow Joe Scarborough isn't having any more of these DSA candidates.
Avila Chevalier recently won a primary election in New York City and is almost sure to win the general election. She attended an October 8th pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas rally, which many people saw as a justification of the October 7th attack. And some of her tweets have been extremely ugly on this score and on others. Do you fully support her in all these activities and what she's had to say?
I think Daria Lisa can speak for herself, certainly, and I think she's apologized for some pieces of that and has been
not for attending that rally.
Unapologetic about other pieces of that. And
do you support her yourself in that?
Yeah, I do.
Why?
Yeah. Because
in other words, you would have gone to that rally had you been able.
That's a good question. I probably would have. Yeah. I don't live in New York City, so I wouldn't have.
One day after the slaughter of 1,200 people and taking of over 200 hostages, you would have come and rallied behind Hamas.
I think that October 7th was largely inevitable. If you put people in an open-air concentration camp and you deprive them of rights, of dignity, of food, of the ability to live in safety, you have to expect that they are going to not take that for that long. And that is not defending any harm of civilians or of non-combatants.
Well, sure
that is. Do you think it is?
You're saying you're supporting it.
I'm saying that I think it was inevitable.
Wow. The co-chair of the DSA supported going to a pro-Hamas rally the day after Hamas gleefully slaughtered more Jews on October 7th than any day the Jews were slaughtered since the Holocaust. Women raped, young children shot in front of their parents, parents shot in front of young children. The DSA co-chair, which means the DSA, supports that. I really don't want to hear from the DSA anymore that they're about economic justice or health care. This would be like going to a pro-Al-Qaeda rally on September the 12th, which I'm sure many people in the DSA would say, well, that would be perfectly fine, because look at the U.S. policies throughout the years. It is.
Mm-hmm. Keep fighting. Keep fighting. Eli, I asked during that little video of Morning Joe sick and tired of the DSA, Democratic Socialists of America, I asked, where am I supposed to get this information that I would report that's the truth? My specific question was, to these folks over on the left, where would I go to get labor stats? Well, you'd go to the Department of Labor website. That's where I went. That's where Grok took me, was to the Department of Labor for those stats. You can do it yourself. So Eli, apparently if you go to the Department of Labor, or if you have a search engine take you to the Department of Labor, the source is different. It's not the same. The Department of Labor is only the real Department of Labor if you type in departmentoflabor.gov or whatever it is. But if somebody else gives you that link, it's not a real link if it takes you to that website. Bad information.
Okay, I get it now.
Yeah. Yeah. See, when you actually click on those things where it shows you the source, and you click on them, and you double check to read that if what is saying, what is summarizing in Grok is actually in those numbers, well, then you look at them and you go, okay, that's true. It's in summary form. It's like if you wrote a paragraph and said, summarize this in 2 sentences. It would take the main points of what you said and summarize it in 2 sentences. In this case, it summarized the data, the numbers, which is what I prompted it to do, from those sources that you got. And I'll end it on that. If you're too stupid to figure out how to research, then maybe you shouldn't have an opinion online. Here's another. Michigan Democrat Dana Nessel will not attend nominating convention due to anti-Semitism. I'm telling you, the socialism, Muslim, China-paid propaganda of anti-Israel and anti-America, it's not going to win. It won't, because there's too much of a splinter in the party.
You recently made the decision to skip the Michigan Democratic nominating convention. It'll happen this month. You said so due to safety concerns and anti-Semitic harassment. What specifically have you experienced, and what concern did you have about attending the Democratic Party nomination contest?
Well, look, myself and other Jewish electeds are subjected to a barrage of anti-Semitic threats. And that's been happening literally since my first day in office in 2019, long before October 7th. But in addition to that, what we've seen in the Democratic Party as of late in here in Michigan is that we're not seeing the same kind of civil discourse that we used to be able to have, and the ability to have a diversity of ideas and opinions that are, respected.
Is your party doing enough to address those concerns, Madam Attorney General?
Yeah, I would say absolutely they're not. And I would just point to the example that we have 5 members of the Democratic Party who have been charged with anti-Semitic acts of violence, of vandalism and harassment and threats to other Democratic officials, some of whom are Jewish, and including an attack on the Jewish Federation of Detroit. So those people are still permitted to come to the convention. And it's just baffling to me that while these charges are pending, they're going to be allowed to be there despite, these credible charges against them. So I think that there's a lot that we could do. We could enforce a code of conduct that says that, again, you can't chase people around the convention yelling at them. It's not appropriate to boo people off the stage, even if it's a candidate whose ideas you don't support. We should all have the opportunity to be heard, if we are members of the party.
Well, you're partly to blame for that state being that way. Here's my question. Are Democrats that are against DSA and Democrats that are against anti-Semitism, are they going to not participate in the midterms by their vote? Or do they hate the anti-Semites and the socialists of their party more than they hate the Republican candidates on the ballot? That's the question. Will Democrats sit this one out in these states where socialists are becoming bigger names? Or will they vote for Republican? What say you in the Rumble chat? Do they hate Republicans worse? Or do they hate the socialists and the anti-Semites of their party who is taking it over worse? That's a good question. And I have a feeling we're going to have about a 50-50 mix on this. Okay? We got about 3,000 here watching. Appreciate you. Make sure you rumble. Make sure you share. Let's see. Will they sit it out? Or do they hate the Republicans less than they hate the socialists and the anti-Semites? And will they vote Republican? Eileen said, good question. I want them to be afraid they must reap what they have sown. They must face the sound of the music now. It's always hate Trump more than anything, says our Bevmo. They will walk onto the cattle cars. I think it will be a split. I was just going to say the same thing. 50% Republican, says Angel. Hatred of Trump trumps anything. I think they hate Republicans more. I think people are finally waking up and will vote Republican. I think some will sit and some will stay in line. I think both for Democrats who will sit out or vote for Republicans. Split. They will sit it out. They're caught. They hate Republicans more. No idea. You can't fix stupid. I like that one. Hard to say the Democrats are extremely brainwashed. 50% not, 50% vote Republican. Either they jump ship or they vote Republican or sit it out is a plus for us. Absolutely. Absolutely, it's a plus for us. They hate Republicans, hand down. In the end, they will stick together. I live beside a leftist, and he is cooked. Probably hold their nose, and half will vote for Republican. Well, we've seen the videos, in number, by the way, and growing every day of Michigan voters. Now, you see a video online. You can't tell. You don't know if it's 100% true or not, but most of them you can tell are true. The ones that are getting interviewed by news stations in polling lines or in the voting lines. And I've seen maybe 2 or 3 dozen where they've said, if my party ends up going for socialism, I'm out and I will vote Republican to show my protest. So I've seen a number of those. Whether it's 50% that'll end up happening, I don't know. Probably not. But it all spells good news for all of us, doesn't it? Because our infighting is less than their infighting. Our infighting is a lot less. We might have more infighting in, let's say, Republican content creators and podcast show hosts and things like that. But in the end, we only have a few elected officials who we need to get out of this party left, while they still have many elected officials and news organizations who are on their side calling them out, saying, we're not doing this. This is stupid. We got to get away from this. And your latest being Slow Joe Scarborough. It's not looking good for him. Now, yesterday I told you who the potential Democrat nominees were, right? You have Newsom, Harris, Buttigieg, AOC. They've added John Ossoff, of Georgia, and Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania. One former DNC fundraiser says the Democrat donors are not going to fund another Kamala Harris for president campaign. I wouldn't either. Why would you? A, she still owes the party millions of dollars. B, she just bought an $8 million home in a predominantly white neighborhood of which she says white men are the biggest danger to this society. Lindy Lee, she's a former DNC fundraiser. And she says Democrat donors forked almost $2 billion for Kamala Harris's campaign. And she's still in debt at the end of it. Now she's saying there's no way that Democrat donors are going to fund another run for Kamala Harris. I agree with that. I do not think Kamala Harris will be the nominee for the 2029 Democrat side. The reason why we're talking about this is because, folks, it's right around the corner. And you know what happens after November? People start campaigning for things. And while silently campaigning for president, they'll tell you that they're not. But they are. And I'll tell you how they're doing it. When you see people start going around the circuit 2 years prior to a presidency, and their names are Harris, Newsom, Buttigieg, AOC, Shapiro, or Ossoff, and they're out there making public appearances, they're not out there for help to help somebody else. They're out there to see how well the crowds respond to these people. They're out there gauging analytics and bringing statisticians and everything right then and there. So they say, how are they received in Georgia? How are they received in Alabama? How are they received in New Mexico? How are they received in Nevada? Were they received well? Were they received well by the party? How many people were protesting them? Were there people lining the streets saying that we don't want you? They gauge all of this. They gauge viewership online, viewership on TV. They gauge it all. They do it by polling. They poll the lines of people that might be waiting to see these people. They poll the audience. They take all of this information and they check their temperature gauge and they go, okay, this person's hot, this person's not. It starts as soon as this midterm season is over. And I think we can rule Kamala Harris out of that. And that's why we're talking about it right now. So we get a big jump on it and we know who our enemy is earlier, the better.
Kamala Harris is living in fantasy land. To think that big donors would bet on her again. She's crazy. She should go enjoy her, I don't know, what is it, an $8 million mansion on Malibu, despite the fact that she belongs to the party of climate change. She's literally living on the ocean. She should just go away because the American people do not want her agenda. They don't want the cackle hyena laugh either.
They don't want her agenda and they don't want the cackling hyena laugh either. They don't want the, how dare we say Merry Christmas? They don't want that either. They don't want the, I am unburdened by what is. They don't want that either. No. All they want is somebody who will fall in line and somebody who's got a big smile and somebody who can captivate audiences. And you would be stupid not to believe that they're going to target the 18-year-old demographic, because the 18 to 35-year-old is the biggest voting demographic in the country right now. The largest amount of potentials is in the 18 to 35-year range. That's why you see stupid El Rabduma El Saeed Muhammad, whatever the hell his full name is, doing cowboy TikTok dances, folks, with his hands in his pants, with his thumbs in his pants. You really think that Abdul El Saeed listens to Tim McGraw while he's driving down the road in his pickup truck? No. And then the following week, he does a rap video. And the following week, he does a trans video. And the following week, he does a pop video. And the following week, he does a, I watched this show and I binge watched this show on Netflix video. They're going for the youth. So, process of elimination here. Kamala Harris, you're gone, right? The youth doesn't ride with you. We've already seen that. It's not going to happen. Gavin Newsom, I don't think he can. He can't hit the youth. He can hit the older population. He can hit the, 30 and above population. The View women he can probably hit. I don't think he wins either. I'm going to tell you who I think it's going to be. It's either going to be Pete Buttigieg or John Ossoff. And it'll probably be Pete Buttigieg president, AOC vice president. I'm calling it now. Pete and AOC, they'll run together. He can teach her how to breastfeed. I heard he does that. I'm telling you, this DSA is taking over. The Democratic Socialists of America are taking over the Democrat Party, and they don't know what to do about it. The actual Democratic Party, the only thing they can do is just say, fine, take it. Here's a DSA member who has no answer when asked, what will we do with the rapists and the murderers, the bad people, if we abolish prisons? Because they do. They want to abolish prisons. They do not want people incarcerated. Okay, well, what do we do with those people that rape and murder? I mean, that's a valid question that any normal person would ask, regardless of which side of the aisle you're on.
If my daughter is assaulted and raped, is there any agency that would seek to find her assailant and bring him to justice?
Of course, yeah, of course.
What
absolutely.
would it be if not police, and where would he be if not a jail?
So I guess I really want to avoid getting kind of caught into these hypotheticals and talk more about the reality that we're actually facing right now, which is that we're spending absolutely outrageous amounts of money on police and policing, and we're not spending money on things that actually make people safe.
I don't want to talk about the hypotheticals, but hypothetically, we need to get rid of the police department. Hypothetically, we got to get rid of law enforcement. We cannot allow people to be kidnapped off the streets or unalived from their communities. Again, where do they think crime is going to be stopped at? And that's why the Democrats don't want this. They don't want the party to be taken over by this radical agenda. Even if the Democrats want it themselves, they know it's not a winning formula. So they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place with zero money compared to the Republicans heading into a midterm election 90 days out. That's some real trouble, folks. That's some real trouble. Got another video here to play for you, since she wants to defund these police so badly. Again, I don't know where. I don't know. Maybe social workers, maybe principals of schools. They go out there and they stop the rapists. Eli, please don't rape them, sir. You're validated. Your feelings matter. Did something happen to you as a child? Boom, you're raped. I know.
Oh, can't stop it because from where they come from, it's totally normal.
Absolutely. Here's another video.
Al-Sayed's victory in the Democratic primary in the Senate in Michigan. Of the 15 counties where a majority do not have a college degree, he lost every one of them, over 15. In the counties with high education, like you, he won. So how can you say you're for the working class when working class counties in Detroit and elsewhere voted against your candidate?
I think what we're seeing is that people who are highly educated in this country were promised this path of economic success. If you go to college, if you get the degree, if you go down that path, you're going to be guaranteed economic success. But really what we're seeing is that there's this huge downward mobility problem where people are putting in the money, taking out hundreds of thousands of dollars of student loans. I have $500,000 in student loan debt personally.
Your fault.
And not seeing that translate into actual economic success.
Hold on. Do you know how you wouldn't have $500,000 in debt? And do you know how that would transfer into economic success, Eli? Is if you went to a trade school and stopped believing the utopian lies of a university where you got brainwashed and propagandized and now you're probably a transgender.
Yeah. Maybe stop taking courses where you study the gender affirmation of gummy bears or something that you're never going to use in the real world.
That's right.
Try that.
Stop listening to NPR where they're talking about the mating rituals of those gender-neutral gummy bears. The green gummy bear has always wanted to be validated. But the red gummy bear, he was an angry gummy bear. He said there are only two genders. And the blue gummy bear and the pink gummy bear, they decided to gather together with the green gummy bear, and united, they formed the LGBTQ community of gummy bears. That's kind of that's kind of the absurdity that you learn in universities these days that produce retards like that. I can't believe that I'm $500,000 in debt and I don't have a damn job. Well, then that means you are a retard. If you're $500,000 in debt and you don't have a job, then I'm going to send my friend Tommy back with a hammer so he can hit you in the head with it because you are a retard. Eli?
He's a big dumb animal, isn't he, folks?
I got $500,000 in debt because I was promised that I was going to have a good career when I got done this schooling. And I got done the schooling and now I don't have a career and I don't have a job and I don't have any money and I don't know what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to give it all to the government and let them run everything so they can give me all the things that I was promised. What a low IQ, stupid, university did you wrong retard. I hope you're broke for the rest of your life. I hope you never find a way out from that stupidity that you put yourself in with your own stupid choices. We were promised. No. You were given the opportunity to the right of life and the pursuit of happiness, and you pursued stupidity. And it's your own fault. Take responsibility. It's the problem with these kids today. And that's why they vote socialism. Because they were promised. I live in America. I was promised. Crybabies. They would have died if they were born in 1960. I'll tell you that. 70, 80. They would have died if they were born in 1990, for crying out loud. Here's a former Democrat Socialist of America member who says it is absolutely a cult-like environment.
Card and never come to a meeting. And cadre, who are... DSA itself makes a distinction, an important distinction, between paper members... who are people who give the organization their credit card and never come to a meeting, and cadre, who are hardcore activist members who show up to all the meetings and do all the work. The cadre are incredibly radical. The paper members might be, think AOC and Bernie Sanders are great and let's get Medicare for all. That is not the hardcore that's running the organization. It is not. They are extremists. They believe, many of them believe, that... any means are justified to achieve their goal. They are explicitly revolutionaries. They want to pull down our government institutions. They want to pull down our economic order. And they really do believe this, that they can build something better in its place.
Except they never have. Eli, do me a favor. While I'm doing this next story, can you search... if there's ever been a socialist who's created a successful nation that has lasted and stood the test of time, they want to create something great. Maybe search in there. Has socialism ever worked and made it great for the people who've lived in it? And I love the way they always go, well, socialist programs like the fire department, not socialist. But I do know a couple of them. They're right there in Michigan. Actually, one's in Michigan, one's in Minnesota. Eminem.
Number one, she's a trailblazer. I don't even tell you all that. You all have been seeing her work up close. But when you talk about courage, when you talk about the ability to show up when nobody else has the words, find the words, and be willing to say them clearly in the face of power, that's this woman. Then the second, number one, she's a trailblazer. I don't even tell you all that. You all have been seeing her work up close. But when you talk about courage, when you talk about...
Do you ever think you'd see a day after 9/11 where this would be like the norm? Did you ever think you'd see a day? Here's a I got a slideshow here of some videos that my friend Toria posted. Abdul Saeed caught saying, "You may not hate Muslims, but Muslims hate you." Well, this ought to be good.
Americans in the country. Now, you might not hate racist Muslims, but I'll tell you, Muslims definitely hate you. All right, Shree? Muslims definitely hate you.
Did you see who he handed the mic to afterwards? Sri Thanadar. So this was a while back, where Abdul said, "You might not hate Muslims, but Muslims definitely hate you." And the host, or the moderator, or the MC goes, "Okay, Sri," and then Sri Thanadar gets up to grab the mic.
So I grew up in this state, and You can imagine going to school with a name like mine, you get a fair share of bullying. The fact is that I just don't pay attention to bullies. It's not worth it. But here's the thing. One of the biggest frustrations that I've had is that the assumption that there should be some sort of association between me and some dastardly group functions simply on the fact that I choose to pray a particular way. It is implicitude that is used to raise the scepter that has everything to do with context. Now, here's the thing. What frustrates me more is not that you have blatant racism on the part of certain people, but what frustrates me more is, in the words of Martin Luther King, is that one of the most dangerous aspects is not when bad people speak out, Americans in the country. Now, you might not hate racist Muslims,
right,
but I'll tell you Muslims.
Hold on, we got another slide here.
It's when good people fail to speak out. And what I have not heard is the Republicans on this panel decisively and swiftly call out this kind of Islamophobia, this kind of racism in the context, right, that they are running to represent a state that has the highest per capita number of Muslim Americans in the country. Now, you might not hate racist Muslims, but I'll tell you, Muslims definitely hate you. All right?
There you go. You might not hate Muslims, Eli, but Muslims definitely hate you because of the Islamophobia and racism that, you know, was never warranted. Still to this day is never warranted to speak out against the only religion that destroys everything they touch and build nothing but mosques. Eli.
Cool story. Then go back to Muslim land where everybody loves Muslims, because that's not here. Scumbags, towelheads, losers, killers, rapists.
I like that kind of Eli. That kind of Eli actually gets me pumped up. And let's not forget this inbred freak.
So I'm Somali. I'm proud to be Somali. To me, being Somali isn't just eating bananas with rice. It's a lot. It's like it's an interesting thing. It's very hard to describe what it means to be Somali.
Look at this guy right here. Look at this guy right here. I'm Somali, and being Somali is a little bit more than eating beans and rice. That guy behind her said, somebody say eat. Somebody say eat. That guy straight up looks like a human version of Jabba the Hutt. Eli, if Jabba the Hutt was a real person, it would look like that guy standing behind the Ilhan Omar wannabe with the Band-Aid on her head.
Asian the Hutt.
That's true. That's absolutely true. Let's go back. I'm Somali because...
And what it means to be American, but it's like a cultural fusion. It's kind of like the bananas and rice. You know, people don't really see, like, you know, it's you know, people don't think, oh, you can eat bananas with rice, but that's what it's like to be Somali and American. It's like that combination of banana and rice, but you're gonna get what I mean.
I think what she's trying to do there is find some similarity between how weird it is to see a combination of bananas with rice and Muslims in America. I think that's what she's trying to say. Of course, I don't know. Eli, I've never met a Muslim Valley girl. Like, it's so cool being Muslim as she's twirling her burqa instead of her hair. Like, you know, it's so difficult for people to see all your skin. Yeah, we know. It's always covered up. And, like, you know, it's like bananas and rice. That's what it's like being Somali in America. And I don't call it my America. I call it our America. And, inshallah, peace be upon him. Bye, everybody. Yeah.
Bananas and rice.
Yep. I can see it now, Eli. Remember that old song? Silver and gold, silver and gold. And you know how usually those third world countries are about 30 years behind us, 30, 40 years behind us? They'll probably come out with a claymation Christmas, an anti-Christmas message from Muhammad called Bananas and Rice. Bananas and rice. That's what it's like to be a Somali, guys. Like in America. Here's something funny. A New York judge yesterday temporarily blocked Zohran Mamdani's new tax, which hits New Yorkers who own valuable second homes. Last month, Mamdani implemented a so-called luxury property tax on second homes, valued at $5 million or above. The property tax also affected certain co-ops, valued over $1 million. Mamdani doxed the homeowners after his departure, after his Department of Finance published database listings, came out with their names and address of over 960,000 properties. Wow. Quote, as per state law, property roll was released for public inspection. From this list, DOF will identify properties that may be subject to the new non-primary residence property surcharge, a Mamdani spokesperson said. You are now punished for that pursuit of happiness, folks, in America. You will be punished forever if socialists win anything of power in your state, because your money becomes their money for those who have no money. Great job working your whole life, loser. Give me your cash. Affluent homeowners said the database and doxing could lead to harassment and violence. Homeowners filed a lawsuit in the New York Supreme Court to stop Mamdani's property tax. The lawsuit argues that New York City bungled the execution of the new tax by arbitrarily and capriciously forcing hundreds of thousands of residents to prove that they do not owe taxes. On Monday, a Staten Island Supreme Court judge temporarily blocked Mamdani's property tax as the lawsuit makes its way through the legal system. The next hearing is set for August 31st. Top headline said Big Apple homeowners fighting the controversial tax notched an early victory Monday when a judge stunningly blocked Mayor Zohran Mamdani's tortured rollout of the new levy. Staten Island Supreme Court Justice Wayne Ozzie, OZZI, issued the temporary restraining order, effectively putting the luxury second home tax on ice, nice play of words, until at least August 31st. Hey, in New York, not the ones that are watching here, obviously, but for the ones who voted, you wanted it. You got it. You should have came out in heavier numbers. I think, let me look this up. What percentage of New York City residents voted in mayoral election? Let's find out. Okay, so here we go. 42% of registered voters turned out. 42. That means 58% of registered voters sat at home and watched the Muslim takeover, the Muslim socialist takeover of their city. 48% of registered voters, not 48% of the city, because there's only about 5 million registered voters. 5.5, I believe. And only 42% of registered voters came out and voted in that last mayoral election. That means 58% sat on their keisters, did absolutely nothing, and this is the problem. And then you wonder why this stuff happens. Because complacent people, lazy, sluggardly, out of touch people don't care. You've got your typical, they're just going to do what they want to do anyway. My voice won't matter, people. You've got the, I'm not voting in elections anyway. They're rigged for Mamdani anyway. Why would I waste time to go to a precinct and cast my vote when they're just going to vote for Mamdani anyway? But Mamdani is booed more than he is cheered today. So, 58% of New York City voters. What's the issue here? You sat back, you let it happen, you are complicit to what happens to our great apple and the city you live in. So stupid. Did it to yourselves. And now you what? Now you want to go to Florida? Now you want to transplant to Florida and bring your stupid retardism with you? Stay right there in New York. Own it. You voted for it or you didn't vote against it. Own it. Maybe if that 58% would have got out their keisters, maybe something would have changed. But it is what it is. Speaking of DSA, we're going to stay on it for a minute. We're going to move from these socialists here in a minute, but it is the biggest movement in the Democrat Party, and anybody who pretends it's not happening or says, don't give those people airtime, trust me, they will slice your head off from the back politically. You have to know what you're up against. Here's James Tallarico admitting that his church harbored illegal aliens to run from ICE. Tom Homan, where are you? Time to go raid that church. We have an admission. We have an admission by somebody running for federal office.
100.
Are we going to do anything about it? Tom Homan, DHS, his own church, whatever the name of the church is, we harbored illegal aliens and kept them away from ICE. Okay. Well, let's hear what you got to say.
Our church was really active in LGBTQ rights in the 90s. We caught some attention by letting an atheist join our church in the 2000s. And then in the 2010s, again, stirred some controversy by housing an undocumented family, a mother and son, who were close to being deported by ICE. And so, again, the idea that Christianity is just another word for causing trouble.
Wow. James Tallarico. We got in some heat there when we let an atheist join our church. Well, so you're not open to people who don't believe in God joining your church? Is that what you're saying? Isn't that maybe one of the ways they could come to God? I mean, if an atheist is joining a church, there's only two reasons they're going to do it. They're doing it because they want to somehow hurt the church, or they're doing it because maybe they want to learn about God. And we're so proud of harboring the illegal aliens when ICE was trying to deport them. Hey, Tom Homan. Mark Wayne Mullen. Maybe you want to go visit James Tallarico's church and just find out what in the HE double hockey sticks is going on. Folks, we are currently number 5 on the live leaderboard on Rumble. Thank you all very much for continuing to share and talk and engage. We appreciate that. Which brings me to the biggest story of the day. President Trump secretly jumped into a catering truck to swap planes when deporting Turkey. You guys remember when we first reported this story that there was a credible assassination attempt on President Trump's life, which is why he had to switch planes? Well, now we actually have video footage of how it happened. Unfortunately, can probably never do it again like this, but let's get to the story. President Trump took a secret flight from Turkey to the UK on an alternate military aircraft on July 8th after he was quietly moved from Air Force One due to the Iranian threat. Trump announced that the Air Force One jet he flew to Ankara, Turkey for the NATO summit last month would be visiting a U.S. base in the UK. He went on to fly on a different Air Force One plane when departing from Turkey, prompting speculation of security concerns. We reported it when it happened, so let's get deeper into it. Trump had told reporters numerous times that the NATO summit that Iran is plotting to assassinate him, and that he is number 1 on their kill list. He said it on Air Force One. He said it off Air Force One. We showed that as well. But he shrugged off security concerns when asked if that's the reason why the new Air Force One plane was rerouted. After flying out of Turkey and across the Middle East on the old jet, Trump boarded his new luxury plane, donated to the U.S. by Qatar, at Middleton Hall Air Force Base in the UK. Trump was then pressed again about security concerns on why reporters had been directed to keep their window shades down while flying from Turkey to the UK, and he said, I'm number one on their list before you. But if I go, you go. According to the leak to the Washington Post, Air Force One was used as a decoy while President Trump flew on a smaller C-2A plane. Pool reporters thought that they were flying with the president on Air Force One from Turkey to the UK, but they weren't. Not at all. We're going to bring up the video here, and we're going to show you how this all went down. I'm going to, here it is right here. Incredible work by the Secret Service, by the way. So there's Trump entering Air Force One. The press is already outside waiting to enter. You see a door open there. That right there is the airport catering truck. President Trump goes down to the lower fuselage levels, goes into the catering truck, and which the catering truck is now pulling away and pulling over to another government plane, as you can see right there. This whole time, there's that airport catering truck right there unloading the president. This whole time that this happened, the press is on the back of the plane outside waiting to get their instructions to enter the plane. They thought President Trump was on the plane. And President Trump actually got on another plane through the catering truck. Now, Eli, have you flown lately? Have you seen these catering trucks? I hadn't seen them, on the tarmacs up until about a couple of years ago. But have you seen these catering trucks, how they pull up to the plane and supply the plane with food and drink?
I don't think so. I'm not a huge fan of flying, so as soon as I get on, I try to go right to sleep.
Okay, so what happens is this. These catering trucks are usually box trucks, and they're on these scissor ladders. So the box end of the truck is on a scissor ladder, and that pulls up to the plane, and it obviously raises up to the level of the door on the other side, and then that catering truck is opened, and they're handing in all the food and drinks for the flight. And then close the door, catering truck goes down, drives away, goes to the next plane. There's been many times that I've had to sit on the tarmac while we're waiting for the catering truck to come to the plane on a 1-hour flight, which I don't understand, but is what it is. So President Trump literally had that catering truck lifted up. He walked, actually it was on ground level. It was more fuel usage high. He went down into that fuel area and went out that door, the other side door, into the catering truck, which dropped him off at another plane. It's pretty incredible work by the Secret Service. Now, we don't know what threats he was under. We don't know if they were going to shoot down the plane or whatever, but the crew had instructed the reporters to make sure that they fly with their shades down so that nobody could see in. Whether it be other planes, drones, satellite, I don't know. But I mean, these threats against Trump's life from Iran have been going on since his first term. There were credible threats all the way through his campaign for his second term, and there's credible threats today. So when you say he said no new wars, well, he either stopped the largest terror network, which is an entire country, from getting a nuke, or he killed these people before they could kill him. Either one I'm good with. Either one I'm good with. If you find out a group of insane terrorists want to kill you, and they're going to kill you, and you have the ability to kill them first, wouldn't you? Or if those same people said, hey, we're getting a nuke, and when we do, you're dead, all of you, and then you find out with 32 other countries' intel that they do have that ability real soon, I don't care which one it is. Go handle business. We'll be here on the other side waiting for you. But I do think we've demolished them enough to wrap it up. So, figure out how to get to an end and get to an end. But imagine this. Imagine CNN more upset that the Secret Service did their job than the fact that a foreign enemy might have had the President of the United States killed. See, you might not like Trump and you may say 86-47, but if the President of the United States gets assassinated, say goodbye to world markets, say goodbye to world peace, say goodbye to borders, say goodbye to all of it. It is going to be a free-for-all mess. if a U.S. president gets assassinated. We're the leader of the free world, like it or not.
Target the most secure aircraft in the entire world. And this whole ruse seems to have been put together very quickly on the ground there in Turkey by the White House, Secret Service, the national security apparatus. You know, throughout that entire NATO summit, President Trump had almost seemed preoccupied with the threats on his life by Iran. They've dated back years and years, and he kept talking about them over and over. But it is really only in retrospect that we're now starting to notice signs of what was afoot. You know, for example, when reporters got on that old legacy blue and white Air Force One, they were all asked to lower their window shades, which made it so they could not see that catering truck, which we now know the president had been bundled into and moved to that other aircraft that he flew from Turkey to the UK on. We also noticed that when the old legacy Air Force One landed in the UK, it took an unusual amount of time for the doors to open and for reporters to be left off, which would have allowed time for the president to get back on the plane, only to walk off again in full view of the cameras. So it's all, I think, this very elaborate shell game that the Secret Service and the White House orchestrated. You know, the White House, in a statement from Stephen Chung, the communications director, said that, quote, as the president has said recently, there are many enemies of America who have their sights on him, and we use every tool at our disposal to address those threats. That doesn't necessarily match with the explanation that the president put out at the time for this switch in aircraft between the Qatar-donated Air Force One, which is that black and red plane, and the Legacy Air Force One. He said at the time that he wanted to show it off to troops who were positioned in the UK. Now we understand that it is these threats from Iran that led to the switch. It all, I think, also led to the people who actually did fly on the blue and white plane, you know, reporters and staff, to become unwitting decoys in this ruse, which I think is disconcerting for anyone who flies on Air Force One regularly.
Yeah, and as John Berman points out, unwitting targets, decoys or targets in this case. Thank you so much for your reporting there.
Boy, it sounds like to me CNN would have been a lot happier Trump just died. This ruse and this shell game. Now, I agree. Somebody in the chat, Big Mac, said it's kind of stupid to have this information released. Oh, I agree. I agree. Because how are you going to pull that off again? You know what I mean? CNN would have loved if they could have been reporting something different. I can tell you that at that moment. They would have absolutely loved to report something different. And that's sad. Hey, folks, I do want to take this time, and we are at the top of the hour, to thank Chicago Steak Company at mychicagosteak.com/LFA. That's mychicagosteak.com/LFA. Using that promo code, or using that landing page, mychicagosteak.com/LFA, puts you in onto this page right here. Once you see this LFA, you know you're on the right page, okay? Whether it's for dinner on the patio, weekend cookout, or an evening by the pool, every memorable meal begins with exceptional steaks. And now, ladies and gentlemen, right now for a limited time offer, you can get one of these 3 value packs here. This right here is going to be the best value for your money. This one right here is going to get you all of this assortment included. All of these high-grade, premium, prime, USDA, top 2% steaks. But you're also going to get this down here. You're going to get 16 free 6-ounce steak burgers, and they are massive, okay? You're going to get 1 bottle of Signature Steak Seasoning, and you're going to get $25 towards your next purchase as an account credit. And that is by going to mychicagosteak.com/LFA. Where's Chicago Steak? Right here. Right here. The top 1/3 choice, folks. Award-winning USDA Prime Angus top 1% beef, aged in the old world tradition up to 6 weeks. mychicagosteak.com/LFA. Thank you so very much, Suzanne, for putting that in the live chat. Also want to thank Armor Colostrum as well. Armor Colostrum is your 2 to 4 dry scoop or put it in your smoothie. One-stop shop for 400 plus bionutrients. And each single day that you take Armor Colostrum, here are the different things that you are helping. Gut health, skin health. That means rashes or psoriasis, bloating. Bloating is the big one. If you have bloating in your life, depending on whether, it doesn't matter if you're a male or a female, if you experience bloating, that is what it's going to tackle first. You're also going to get a lot more lean muscle and mass and strength, endurance, fitness. You're going to regrow your hair. Nearly 80% of the people that took Armor Colostrum over time said that they have regrown their hair into a thicker head of hair, okay? And reported digestive relief. That's a big one as well. So whether you're getting heartburn or whether you just want some metabolism or good old gut health supplements, Armor Colostrum at armor.com/LFATV. That's armor.com/LFATV. Thank you, Armor, and thank you, Chicago Steak Company. Okay. Where are we? At least 22 Democrat attorneys general agreed to coordinate the takedown of Donald Trump, keeping the public in the dark going into the 2024 election. Let's get into this story. This story is penned by the Western Journal. At least 22 Democrat attorneys general signed an ominous common interest agreement before President Donald J. Trump's 2024 election, vowing to pursue lawfare against Trump's future administration, even though no crimes had been committed. The document outlined a lawfare campaign that would have become known as the Project for Federal Accountability, according to the outlet The Center Square. The document was reportedly signed 3 months before former President Joe Biden exited the 2024 presidential race to make room for then Vice President cackling Kamala Harris. The Project for Federal Accountability was later referenced in then New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy's budget in early 2025, according to Zach Blackburn of the National Journal Hotline. Murphy is a Democrat. So was his Attorney General, Matt Platkin. All right? As noted by Blackburn in the most recent post published to the social media website X, Murphy refused to mention the Project for Federal Accountability while publicly unveiling his budget in the February 2025 budget hearing. This appeared to be no coincidence. Quote, the majority of attorneys general who signed the agreement have declined to comment or answer questions about it, according to the Center Square. Another quote, some have downplayed the timing of the agreement or otherwise minimized the extent to which they had been preparing for litigation against the Trump administration, the outlet further reported. Yet despite their attempts to downplay or even hide the government or the governmental agreement, their lawfare against President Trump's administration has been clear, with the AGs having sued the administration nearly 100 times since Inauguration Day. Of the 100 lawsuits, California Attorney General Rob Bonta has joined 82 of them. Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser has joined 75 of them. Washington State Attorney General Nick Brown has joined 70 of them. And Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays has joined 46 of them. This is planned lawfare against Trump. Slow him down as much as possible. Stop his agenda as much as possible. Always keep him in litigation. Always keep the Department of Justice wrapped up in court. And do not pass through any of their nominees to give them any relief. That's their plan. And the more they can stop what we voted for, the more they can say, Trump didn't do what he promised. Trump didn't do what he said he was going to do. Trump's in court again. And they'll always use this. He's been sued over 100 times. So what? You could sue a ham sandwich. You could sue a ham sandwich. Democrat attorneys generals have also reportedly used their joint planned lawfare to fundraise for their campaigns, just like Letitia James did. According to former Utah Attorney General Mark Shurtleff, who used to be a Republican but now votes for Democrats, quote, I get lots of emails from people running for attorney general. Lots of texts and emails saying, we've got to stop President Trump, or we've got to work together as state attorneys general. That's why we need you to give me money, Shurtleff told the Center Square. Bonta, for his part, defended his lawfare during a news conference Tuesday, alleging that the lawsuits he filed or participated in have all been apolitical. That's not true. Not a single one of them have. They've all been political. And we have the documents now to prove it. And they all band together to do this. That should be some kind of something, some kind of violation of something, violation of their code of conduct, violation of their oath to office, something. You're literally working together 3 months prior to President Trump taking office, having emails back and forth saying you're going to do whatever you can to stop this administration or slow it down. There should be something against that. That didn't happen under Joe Biden. That never happened under Joe Biden. The Republicans didn't bring hundreds of lawsuits against Joe Biden every single week. They did not. But again, you have adults and children. The Republicans, albeit not the best, are still better than the best Democrats. The worst Republican is better than the best Democrat. All the livelong day and twice on Sunday. Especially the modern day Democrat. Now, if this was 2008, 2010 Democrats, I might be afraid. But because it's 2026 Democrats, they don't even know what a woman is. Now on to one of ours that's disgusting, Mitch McConnell. Has anybody seen him? Hey, Eli, have you seen Mitch McConnell today?
Yeah. We were just hanging down at the corner drugstore. He was picking up a few prescriptions. I'll say few. But yeah, he looks pretty chipper.
Looks good, running around, walking around on his own volition, his own two legs. No problem whatsoever. He doesn't have one of those walkers with the tennis balls on the bottom of it. He can speak clearly. He's no more freezing. He's good.
Yeah, he wanted me to say hi to you, but it kind of sounded like this. But trust me, that's hi.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm glad you've seen him, Eli, because people coming in and out of his house, apparently they haven't seen him, or at least they don't want to talk about it. I talked to this reporter who got this who got these videos, Miles Morell. He does a great job in D.C. We're going to get him to do a lot more for us here at LFA TV. Since he's stationed in D.C., he gets it all anyway. Watch how they act. By the way, Miles Morell, he works for right-wing outlets. Keep that in mind when you watch this. One of the outlets that he does independent work for is the Gateway Pundit. That's I'd say, pretty right-leaning outlet, wouldn't you? So imagine Mitch McConnell, a Republican, and his closest confidants and aides treating Miles Morell this way when all he did was ask absolute valid questions.
Hello, sir. Any update on the status of Mitch McConnell? Hi there. Have you seen him today? Is he home? Are you working for him? Do you work with him? Are you related to him?
Hi.
Hi.
Does your mother know you don't have a real job?
So what's the status update on Mitch McConnell? He's been missing for about 2 months now. Nobody knows where he is. No comments at all? Have you seen him today? The American people just want to know if he's doing okay.
Your mother needs to know you've got a real job, young man.
And the American people need to know the status of Mitch McConnell.
You're too old to not have a job that is actually paying the bills and leading to something.
The American people need to know the status of Mitch McConnell. He's been missing for 2 weeks. Do you have any updates? Have you spoken to him? Have you seen him? Are you caring for him? Are you treating him medically?
Tell me, have you seen him?
What brings you to the house?
I am sure your family is worried about you, young man.
Well, we're not asking about my family. We're asking about Senator Mitch McConnell.
I'm asking about you. You need to have a real job, young man. I'm going to be
And you need to tell the American people what's going on with Mitch McConnell. That's way more important. Nothing at all?
Didn't think so.
No comments?
That's it right there. He actually goes and talks to the police in another video. Does your mother know that you don't have a real job? Your mother would be awfully disappointed in you. You should get a real job. The American people probably want you to have a job. I think that knowing where Mitch McConnell is probably more important to the American people. I'm pretty sure this is where we would agree with the left on. He is a U.S. Senator, and not just a U.S. Senator. Probably the most known, well-known over the last 30 years U.S. Senator, if you're talking Republicans. If he's dead, he's dead. If he's alive, he's alive. But you can tell by the way they act. You can tell by their body language. You can tell by their rhetoric. You can tell by the way that they approach every situation and the way they react to everything. There's something not right. I don't think America's concerned whether Miles Morales' mother knows whether or not he's got a decent job or not. That's his job. And the American people want to know. He's providing a service for the American people in D.C., and I think that's a great job. Great job, Miles. I talked to Miles today. We're going to get him on LFA TV. Hopefully doing some stuff for us. It's going to be great. What's the problem, though? Why was that guy acting that way? Oh, here's one that's even worse. Watch this. Same reporter, Miles.
Excuse me, sir. Can you give us a status update on Mitch McConnell?
The old pretending I'm on the phone trick.
Sir, are you related to the senator? Do you work with him? What brought you to his house today? Sir, any status update at all? Hey, don't touch
me. Don't touch me.
You ran into me.
Don't touch me.
You ran into me, sir. Sir, anything at all? Any status updates? Have you seen him? Are you caring for him?
Run to the police. The
Oh,
other guy
he's
did
going
too.
to the police now.
Me too, Amy. Amy said she's sick of everything being a big secret when it comes to the government. Me too, Amy. Me too. Isn't it crazy that this is the
that way?
This is the issue that we would find common ground with on the Democrats.
Sir, anything at all? We just want to know how the senator's doing.
I don't have any comment.
Sir.
Why don't you have any comment? Why don't you have any comment? It isn't just to the Republican Party that wants to know where this guy is. The country has a right to know where an elected U.S. senator is. He's missed months. He's expected to miss even more months. I tell you why. He didn't want Governor Andy Beshear to replace him, number one, and they don't want a special election to replace him. They want to either vote by proxy or just keep this guy propped up like Weekend at Bernie's. There's no way that this guy is fine with this kind of reaction. There's no way that Mitch McConnell's just cool, chilling. He's recovering fine. And that's why I hate when somebody goes, have you talked to Mitch McConnell lately? And Tim Taylor goes, yeah, I've talked to him. He's doing good. He's recovering. This is his house that I rent from. You broke the story. Remember that video last week? There's others too, by the way. There's other people in Congress that we're not seeing lately. Somebody said Maxine Waters. That's a great point. Where's she been? Eli, I think this is something that we can all agree on. These people need to be exposed.
First and foremost, damn Skippy, I completely agree with you. Secondly, let's keep it down with the complaining that we haven't seen too much of Maxine Waters. That's why it's been so freaking quiet around here.
Yeah. The James Brown of the Democrat Party. Ow! And last but not least, here's the other staffer that Miles caught coming out of his house.
Hello, sir. Any status update on Mitch McConnell? Have you spoken to him today? Have you seen him? Are you treating him medically? Are you related to him? Do you work for him? Were you visiting him? Anything? Anything at all?
Nothing.
Nothing at all, sir?
I'd follow
No comment?
him. I'd follow him wherever he goes.
Hello, sir. Any...
I'll tell Miles. I'll say, hey, Miles, if you ever do any work for us, follow them and see where they go. Just don't stop following them until they go into another place. They'll probably duck off into a store like they do when James O'Keefe is walking behind them, right? But Miles does great work there. He also does it at the Capitol building. He does it everywhere. Amy, why isn't Trump asking where he is? Very good point. I agree. I think Trump has some responsibility here. He is the leader of the party. I'm not saying he has responsibility in, talking about this guy's medical record or if he's really, what his medical state is. But as the leader of the party, when you're this, divided in the Senate and the Senate's on recess and doing nothing, and you have this much of just a bare minimum lead in the Senate. If I was President Trump, I'd be like, I want to see him. As the President of the United States of America, I want to lay eyes on one of the top senators in my party. That's what I want to do. I want to see him right now. And if they say, well, you can't do that, then I'd take it to the next step if I was President Trump. We've got to have a standard here, folks. We've got to have a standard here. That standard needs to be met. I think we can all agree on that. Eli?
Yeah. And that next step ought to be the last step with the presidential power to say, then he's fired. He's not here. He's not doing his job. He's being replaced.
Yeah, that
Period,
would be
the end.
nice. That'd be nice. Maybe if a certain somebody gets into Congress, maybe one of the bills that I'll pass is if somebody who's been elected to the House of Representatives or the U.S. Senate can't effectively do their job or even be seen for a period of 60 days, then that person needs to be automatically removed from that seat and a special election needs to happen. Term limits, stuff like that, single issue bills, those are things that we need to be focusing on. Instead, is this guy alive or dead? Is a woman really a woman or are they a man? We don't know, Eli, if people are men or women, and we don't know if they're alive or dead today in our nation's swamp.
Yeah, it's getting to be absolutely and completely. It's so blatantly pathetic.
It is.
Everyone in here is right. As soon as these scumbags get in, it's a big secret party, and you're not invited. And it's on the Democrat side, and that's on the Republican side, and that's not right, because that's not America, and that's not united.
Yep, absolutely, I agree. Here's some good news, though. Check this out. Do you remember the anti-redistricting rhino in the state of Indiana? There's a few of them, but this specific one loses to a pro-Trump challenger following a recount 3 months after he was certified the winner. Gotta love it. Suck it, Google says glitches on ice. Talking about Glitch McConnell. I know. A liberal GOP, make that make sense. Basically a rhino. Indiana senator has suffered a shocking defeat after his opponent following a recount 3 months after he won. The Indianapolis Star, so it's state paper, state outlet, reported Trump-hating Rhino State Senator Spencer Deary, who defied the president on redistricting, has officially lost his race to conservative pro-Trump challenger Paula Copenhaver by 3 votes. So you've had one resign who didn't want the redistricting because he knew it was coming, and now you just had one lose 3 months after he thought he won. Love it. The results were finalized by a 3-person commission that included a Republican Secretary of State, Diego Morales. Deary was previously certified as the winner of the election by 3 votes following the May 15th primary, but as the Indianapolis Star notes, Copenhaver successfully challenged 8 votes cast for Deary while losing only 2 of them from herself. An incumbent state senator lost his race after the high-stakes recount threw out several ballots, leading to a Trump-backed challenger claiming victory. Now, let me ask you this. Why were ballots thrown out? How was that vote switched 3 months after it was certified? And how were ballots thrown out? Could it possibly be because they were cast illegally? I thought that didn't happen. Oh, the left will say it was just so that they could get revenge for Trump. Well, not really. Not really. They actually went and did a recount. Certain ballots were challenged, and those certain ballots were from ineligible voters or nobody at all. Don't ever let anybody tell you that cleaning the voting rolls and doing recounts doesn't work. Because he won 3 months ago and now he's gone. What goes around comes around. We talked about karma in the beginning of the show, didn't we? Family says, we know who called the 2020 election legitimate. We sure do. Fox News was one of them. And if that's happening at a local scale, imagine what happens on a large scale. You saw my reporting yesterday, right? This is a fact. For the dipshits that don't believe it, go look it up. Tom Fitton of Judicial Watch successfully sued in open court, so there's public record of it, to get 800,000 people removed from a voting roll in Oregon. 800,000 in one fell swoop. See you later. And you mean to tell me that stuff's not going on at a high level? Do you know how many voters that Tom Fitton has gotten off the voting list, the voting rolls in total from sea to shining sea, year to date? 6 million. Open court records. Go look it up. Don't be a retard. Don't be lazy. Go do your own research for once in your life, lefties. 6 million people that shouldn't have been on those voter rolls so far have had to be removed because of Tom Fitton's lawsuits. How do you explain that? I thought that our elections were secure. We just had somebody overturned after 3 months at a tiny little local scale. RYW says subpoena the head of Congress with a writ of habeas corpus to produce McConnell in front of the court. Amen. Noah Braun says, are you serious? Yes, I'm serious. 800,000 in Oregon in one lawsuit. Gone. They had to be removed. 6 million so far nationwide. 1/6 of those done in one state. And now check this out. More than 30 shots were fired at the home of Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger's communications director. 3 suspects fired shots at the home of Brad Raffensperger's communications director, Robert Sinners. Who fired the shots? Now you would expect, I'll bet you the left would say, oh, it must be crazy Trumpsters who are mad because Brad Raffensperger didn't help President Trump steal the election in 2020 and find 12,000 more votes. Here's your suspects. Jermaine Howard and Gregory Vaughn, those are your suspects. Firing more than 30 gunshots at a home that happened to be the communications director for Brad Raffensperger, who is the Secretary of State down there in Georgia. Shocking surveillance video shows 3 suspects firing more than 30 shots at Robert Sinners' home on Wellington Street in Atlanta. Sinners was asleep in his bed next to his fiancée at the time of the shooting. Nobody was injured. He says, we're still confused why 30 shots hit our home last night. Are you really confused? Or are you running with a crowd that you may owe some money to? Maybe you're running with a crowd that you might have ballot harvested with. Why are they picking you? Scariest thing to ever happen to us, he added. I guess it could be merely coincidental, right? What are the odds? What are the odds that the current Secretary of State, who we've accused of doing some shady stuff, and his secretary and his communications director, so the person who basically is his voice, gets his his house shot up more than 30 times? Do you think that's coincidence? Let's watch.
New surveillance video captures the moment gunfire erupted outside the home of Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger's communications director. Now, as the shots rang out, cameras captured the suspects running from the scene.
Well, I was rocking my 10-month-old baby to sleep, right? And it was like around 12:30-ish, like around about that time, and I heard a bunch of gunshots. And so once I gave her the baby, I came outside.
By the time Mike Jordan reached his front yard, he says the shooters were already running through the neighborhood.
Definitely I seen one of the shooters run from the back over through the grass, and he ran right over there. and it was 2 of them.
Jordan says he kept watching as the men ran through his backyard, helping officers quickly close in on the suspects. Atlanta police say more than 30 rounds were fired into the home of Robert Centers while he and his fiancée were asleep inside. Despite the gunfire, no one was hurt.
We're still confused why 30 shots hit our house last night. Scariest thing we've ever had happen to us.
After a short foot chase, police arrested 26-year-old Gregory O'Neill Vaughn and 29-year-old Jermaine Darcel Howard. Investigators say they recovered a firearm and multiple rounds. The surveillance video also appears to show 3 people walking towards the home just before the shooting. So far, Atlanta police have only announced the arrest of 2 suspects.
Now I got to watch everybody that walk down the street at nighttime.
And you can see there's been a police presence in this neighborhood all day today. Now, we did reach out to Atlanta police to ask them about that 3rd person we saw in the video, but a spokesperson told us right now this is still an ongoing investigation. Just 2 suspects in custody right now.
Wonder what happened. I don't think they shot up the wrong house. Usually if they shoot up the wrong house, it's like, you know, they're trying to hit somebody else. There's a gunfight with somebody else. They're trying to do a drive-by, whatever it is. But you're not going to sit there and shoot 30 shots at one specific house. Wonder what happened. You can't win an election, so you gerrymander and disenfranchise voters. Okay, cool. Well, you had districts written up by race. That makes you an actual racist. Supreme Court just undid that, that's all. A vote should be a vote, not a skin color. Welcome to your racism. You finally understand it. I bet you're the same person that says, asking them for a voter ID is racist. They can't get them. I bet you're the same person that says, who's going to pick our crops, clean our bathrooms, and fold our clothes? I emailed you an hour ago and you still haven't responded, said the Way Z Express. If you emailed me your email address, we'll set it up. I'll email you back after the show. We'll schedule you to come on. We'll send you a Zoom invite, and I'll bring you on. One rule, though. You have to pass a civics test before you debate me. So when you come on, I'll give you a 10-question civics test. If you get 6 of them right, we can debate. If you can't, then you don't have what it takes. Deal? Just a basic civics test. That's the rule. I'll debate anybody. But you can't just be some dipshit off the street coming on and saying, I want to come up and chew up airtime and yell at you and dish you and blah, blah, blah. No, you're going to have an actual debate, and you're going to prove that you have a brain to debate. That means you have to know the basics about America. Deal? And I'll have you come on Friday. I'd love it. How about that? Deal? Friday. Keep your very limited schedule open. I'll answer the email after the show. And we'll bring you on. It'll be fun. And I'll give you a civics test right then and there. And then we'll go into debate anything you want. I'll give you a topic. You give me a topic. And we'll have a half-hour debate. Sound fair? Eli, that's fair, right? You have to show that you know a little bit about America, and then you can debate.
Sounds fair to me. If he follows through, this would be the first one who's followed through. So
yes,
stick to your guns, bud.
Yeah, hey, the Way Z Express, you will be the first one. You'll be the first one to nut up rather than shut up. You'll get an award. I'll give you a coveted award, like a gold star for the day or something. Because you'll be the first one to ever do it. Nobody else has done it. Nicholas Bridges, wait, can we see you pass the civics test? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll let him give me one. We'll take the same one. How about that? We'll take the same civics test and we'll write it down on paper and we'll both hold it up at the same time. Whatever you want. Whatever you want to do. I've taken hundreds of civics tests, passed all of them, aced almost all of them. So I'm pumped too. The Ways Express. Hey, at least you're the first one to accept. I can't wait. It'll be great. Dana says, how about a common sense test? Well, if that's the case, I wouldn't be able to debate anybody in here because nobody has any. Just a few, not many. Representative Lauren Boebert. Did you guys hear about this story? Representative Lauren Boebert's son is actually facing felony charges. Here is the mugshot of Representative Lauren Boebert's son. Now, is this Lauren Boebert's fault? Obviously not. She's got, I don't know, he looks like to be an adult son. We'll get to his age here in a minute. But it's not good when you're a U.S. congressman and your kids are doing this stuff, especially what he's guilty of. Okay? By the way, who won the 2020 election is not a civics test. It's not a civics test question. I know you'd like it to be, but that's, not a civics test question. Civics test questions are like, how many years does a U.S. senator serve for? What are the 3 co-equal branches of government? What are the houses of Congress? What does the 5th Amendment say? What does the 14th Amendment say? What does the 19th Amendment say? How many amendments are there to the Constitution? How many are in the Bill of Rights? Those questions. Those are all questions, and many more, by the way. And many more. But Lauren Boebert's son, Tyler Boebert, the 21-year-old son of Republican Congresswoman, Lauren Boebert is back in legal hot water, this time facing serious felony charges related to the alleged sexual exploitation of a child. Ouch. Not going to be good for her. Not going to be good for her at all. Not going to say it's her fault, but it's probably not going to fare well for her. According to court records, again, he's 21 years old at this point. According to court records from Garfield County, Colorado, Tyler Robert was arrested in connection with 5 felony counts stemming from an alleged incident dated around January 1st of 2024. The charges include sexual exploitation of a child with intent to deal, sell, or distribute sexually exploitative material, a related charge involving videotaped material, and 2 counts of contributing to the delinquency of a minor, according to the Denver Post. So more than likely here, because they don't get into the specifics, is more than likely this kid is dating somebody or involved with a girl. More than likely there's videos or pictures of this girl. More than likely they probably broke up and he posted them or showed them. That's probably the scenario here. He's been taken into custody, released from Garfield County Jail on Sunday after posting a $10,000 bond. His next court appearance is scheduled for August 19th in Garfield County District Court. Specific details from the arrest affidavit have not been made public. Representative Boebert issued a brief statement to the Daily Mail stating, "I love my son. We take these allegations very seriously and pray for everyone affected during this challenging time." This is hardly Tyler Boebert's first encounter with the law, though. And that's why it's not gonna ring well for her in her reelection, unfortunately. Right? Hunter, Jeremy, he's not guilty until his peers find him, so he's innocent until proven guilty. You're absolutely right. Unfortunately for the world, the court of public opinion now hits harder than the court of law. You are right. He is innocent until proven guilty. And when it all comes out, like I said, it will probably be one of those situations where young people have videos and pictures of doing things with each other on the phone. Something bad happened, and they probably shared them. And the people that are on the other side of it probably went to the police. Because it's material, not like sexual, rape or assault or anything like that. It's to distribute or sell or engage in the disbursement of material. So more than likely, that's what it is. Still, like Audrey says, don't date her till she's 18. Yeah, maybe that's why nobody should date till they're 18, right? But not going to be good for her because, it's like I said, the court of public opinion is the way it is. And unfortunately, you could be the greatest congressman or the greatest senator. You can be the greatest or the worst president. And their children are brought into it these days. So it is what it is. But it's news and it's out there. Now here's some other news. ICE issues an ultimatum to Sanctuary Sheriff Tom Dart, serving immigration subpoenas or face criminal witness tampering charges. Cook County, that's Chicago. The sheriff there, Tom Dart, the longtime Democrat overseeing the largest jail in the Midwest, and a key enforcer of Chicago's radical sanctuary policies, has been put on notice by ICE. According to ABC 7 Chicago's One Team, ICE asked Dart's office to serve subpoenas connected to people held in Cook County Jail. The accompanying letters warned that failure to comply may constitute tampering with a witness and will lead to fines and possibly imprisonment. 4 subpoenas reportedly arrived in July. 3 of them, named detainees, had already been released before the sheriff's office received the demands. ICE demanded the persons appear for an interview at the federal ICE office or that sheriff's office facilities and facilitate a transfer upon release, according to CBS. DART's office claimed it cannot release people in custody for interviews or hand them over, hiding behind Illinois' Trust Act and Cook County's own ordinance that explicitly restricts cooperation with ICE on civil immigration matters unless costs are reimbursed or criminal warrant is produced. The letters warned that obstructing compliance, quote, may constitute tampering with a witness under federal law. DHS has framed the move as an effort to compel sanctuary politicians to stop harboring and releasing dangerous criminals so they can be deported. The same tactic was used against Hennepin County Sheriff Dewana Witt in Minnesota, another Democrat running a sanctuary jurisdiction that includes Minneapolis. Both sheriffs have long resisted ICE detainers, contributing to the revolving door that has released thousands of criminal illegal aliens back onto the streets. You know, you can threaten everybody, but until you actually hold somebody accountable, like a mayor or like a sheriff or like a warden or whatever, nobody's ever going to take you seriously. Ever. So let's hope that the threats turn into something more real. Now, would you guys like to watch a Haitian illegal collapse on the ground in tears as he's fitted with an ankle monitor by ICE in Ohio as his temporary status has been ended? I'm not saying we take pleasure in it, but I do take pleasure in the fact that they're actually leaving, and that's all I care about. Get them out. Don't get me wrong. The human side of me actually said, I watched this and I was like, just sucks, right? Everybody deserves compassion at some level. Sucks to see people sad. Sucks to see them not want to go back to a shithole. But you shouldn't have utilized Joe Biden's open border policy to come here, because you knew what was going to come afterwards. We told you. Again, the human side of me says, man, I feel bad for these people, right? These people aren't probably bad people, but the law is the law. AB 1965 says no cats or dogs for you. They are now fitted with ankle monitors because they're going through what we call due process. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The Trump administration is giving these temporary protected status, ended illegal aliens due process, meaning he's allowing them individually to come back to court before they are removed from this country. I'd say that's pretty nice. I'd say that's pretty humane. I'd say President Trump hasn't deported nearly the amount of people that Biden or Obama has. But you have a problem with Trump doing it for some reason. He's actually giving them due process that I don't even believe that they should be afforded. And he's giving them an ankle bracelet. That's giving them time here to get their affairs ready, get their stuff ready, pack their bags, because you're going to take a one-way flight and you're not coming back. And the reason why you're not coming back is because you didn't voluntarily leave. You had an opportunity to do it. You had a chance to do it and you said no. So, bye.
Arrest of over 1,200 illegal migrants. Over 700 of them had either been convicted or charged with crimes in the U.S. Take a look at just some of those arrested with criminal histories, including sexual battery, aggravated assault, domestic violence, and cruelty to children. Here for that Fox and Friends exclusive is the head of ICE's enforcement and removal operations. The ERO division is Marcos Charles. Marcos, thanks for joining us. Tell us about this Georgia operation and what it netted.
Morning, Griff. Thanks for having me on the show. Look, as you said, we arrested over 1,200 illegal aliens out in the Atlanta, Georgia area. More than half of those people had criminal histories. And as you said, we're talking about sex crimes, assault and battery, some with DUI convictions, even domestic violence. These individuals needed to be taken off the street, not only because they're criminals, but because they're here illegally in the United States. I'm very proud of the men and women of ICE, ERO, that are out there on the streets every day making these arrests and keeping our community safe. It was a tremendous success out in the Georgia area. The majority of these arrests were in the Atlanta suburbs and city, but these arrests were going on throughout the state. And not just that, I mean, this one operation, as I said, was a great success. However, every day the men and women of ICRO were out in the streets across the nation enforcing the immigration laws as set forth by Congress.
See, those immigration laws, they're just being enforced now. They were also enforced under Obama. He deported a lot. The difference between that and this is the media didn't want to cover it. Media didn't want to cover that because they wanted to shield Obama from everything they could. And half of those deportations weren't even actual deportations. They were turned away at the border, and they were counting them as deportations. They were actually just turned away at the border. The other half were actually removed, just like this, just like you see happening here. But when Trump does it, it's bad. We knew that was going to be the case. We said, look, if we close this border and we go after 30 million illegal aliens in America, you know damn well what the American people are going to do. They're going to be like, oh, look at, they're heartless. Look what they're doing. They got to stop it. You can't do it. You got to let them stay here. And we said in the beginning, you got to push through all that. You got to enforce the law set by Congress, both Democrats and Republicans. The law hasn't changed. It's just being enforced now. And the media doesn't like that it's being enforced now. I wish it would be enforced a little bit more. I don't like the fact that we only have 356,000 forced deportations in 2026. I don't like the fact that there are 3 times that many people who are coming in saying, you know what, I'll take the money and I'll leave on my own. That way I can come back. I'd rather have it the opposite way around. At least they're leaving, I guess. But Savannah Hernandez, she's got it right here, and I wanted to play this video.
New ICE data dump reveals the agency has carried out...
Oh! And they nuked her video. Ha! They nuked her video. Well, of course they did. That was Savannah Hernandez, everybody. Let's see if we still got it. We still got it? We got it.
New ICE data dump reveals the agency has carried out 356,389 deportations so far in the fiscal year of 2026. Okay, so that averages out to roughly 1,260 per day. At the peak of the illegal immigration crisis, you had 10,000 people coming in every single day. There was one point where New York was getting 5,000 illegals bust into their city every single week. We have not even made a dent in what was done to the United States of America in just the last 4 years.
And that's
the
why you
conservative
can't get on the
number
right
of
side of
people
the
who came
economy.
over here illegally over the last 4 years was 15 million. We don't have net negative migration like the Republicans would like you to believe because we are still importing 1.2 million people legally per year. New ICE data dump reveals the agency has...
That's true. We might have net negative when it comes to the people that came here illegally, but we don't have net negative when you offset with the people that are coming legally. So we're really not, we're really seeing people that were not born in America, the increase of that population because we're not deporting the illegal ones fast enough. You know, I think the biggest misconception is that people think that MAGA or Trump voters don't want immigration. Have you not heard that we need immigration? Have you not heard that we love immigration? We love it. We love them coming from every corner of the world, as long as they're not Muslim. We don't love that because that's a Trojan horse waiting to do something completely different. But we love people from every country coming here. We love the diversity. We love the fact that in our neighborhoods, we don't have to just eat the same old steak and potatoes. We love the fact that we have diversity in clothes and in events and in celebrations and in food and in the culture of people that come from all over the world. That's what makes America great. What doesn't make America great is illegal immigration. What doesn't make any country great is illegal immigration. It makes no countries great. And that's why the countries that didn't allow it are thriving, and the countries that did allow it are not. The proof is in the pudding. It doesn't have to be in government numbers, and it doesn't have to be on government websites. Look at the countries that took illegal immigration in by the millions. Look at the countries that didn't allow it. Which countries are thriving? Very simple research for you to do. It's a very simple experiment. We love immigration. We do not love illegal immigration. Who would? All right. We got to shake things up here. But before we do, I want to thank our next sponsor, which is the maker of the Fatty 15 C15 ingredient pill. What is it? Well, unlike a lot of these supplements that have a lot of different ingredients inside one pill, the only ingredient inside this capsule is C15, which is an essential fatty acid that supports metabolic health, cognitive health. The cognitive health is a big one. Like this is really clears your brain, and it really stops the whole, like when you have the day scrolling through your head and you got work and kids and this, that, it helps you stay focused. And that's not the best part. The best part is the immune response at the cellular level. It goes in at a cellular level. C15 finds damaged cells, repairs those damaged cells, reverses the aging process of those cells, not reversing in the way where you get younger, reversing it in the way that it ages currently. It doesn't age the same anymore. It ages slower, more healthy, because it has that steady dose of C15, which is an essential fatty acid. 70% of customers report seeing major benefits within the first 16 weeks, so you can get 3 months supply and you can get it delivered quarterly by going to fatty15.com and using promo code LFA. That's fatty15.com using promo code LFA. Check them out today, and a big shout out to our sponsor, Fatty 15. Another big shout out to another sponsor, which is Golden Crest Metals. Where are we at today with silver and gold prices? $65 for silver, great price. How about for gold? $4,435. Up 0.36%. Gotta love it. Golden Crest Metals for all your precious metal needs. Gold, silver, palladium, and platinum. If you want to diversify your portfolio or in any way have a little bit of actual physical go. I mean, hey, aren't they at Fort Knox right now? Isn't Rand Paul at Fort Knox right now? Aren't they trying to look and see if we've got those millions and millions of ounces of gold that we're supposed to have? Get your own at goldencrestmetals.com/LFA and watch the Crest Report every Saturday right here. 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Well, the Democrats are back killing babies again and loving it. See what they did in Massachusetts, Eli, to your neighbor to the south? See what they just did? You see what Governor Healy did? Maureen Healy in Massachusetts?
No, I try not to pay too much attention to Massachusetts. I should, because it's news for the job, but I just can't stand Massachusetts. No offense to anybody who lives there.
Well, I think people that live there will say the same thing. By the way, I will say Abenorm and Rumble said, Fatty 15 lost wrinkles on my neck and my arms are smoother. See that? That's a real testimony, real life testimony. Well, she signed a bill yesterday that would allow abortions up to birth. That's nice. That's nice. The baby can literally live outside the womb many, many weeks prior to this. And look at
women become satanic and turn against.
Women become satanic. That was back when he actually owned InfoWars. But he's not wrong there. Did you see them all laughing and smiling? Wow, you can kill a baby up to birth. So you can be 8 months and 30 days, Eli. Let's say you had that baby on the exact 9 month to the date. But the day before, you can kill that baby. Cut it up, rip open its arms, rip off its legs, break its neck, rip its head off, whatever gender it is. Kill that baby. 9 months old.
You'll have to excuse a quick little dose of language here. I feel a case of irony coming on. Are these the same scumbag assholes who support and fight for birthright citizenship, but now they're fine with American babies being ripped apart as soon as they're born? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, same people. Hmm?
I want off this planet.
See, they want foreign babies to be born. They want American babies to be dead. And Eli, here's the kicker, especially if you're black. That's what Margaret Sanger said. That's what she said. Good way to keep the black population down. Kill them in the womb. That's Planned Parenthood for you, folks. Eli, what's that old Star Wars thing? So this is how liberty dies, with thunderous applause.
Yep. Good old Padme Amidala.
Hey, according to the Constitution, what is a human being guaranteed in the United States of America under the Constitution, Eli? A human being. The Constitution says you are guaranteed the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Well, how you can have life or liberty or the pursuit of happiness if the shithole, retard, demonic mother kills you in your womb at 9 months?
It's an excellent question, and from what we've seen over the past 5 to 10 years, I see these people out on the street who advocate and rally for this, and I don't give it. You've seen some of these people. I don't give a shit. I don't care. I'll have 10 abortions right now. Like they're proud of it.
Mm-hmm. Yet you still got people calling it a clump of cells, or it's a fetus, or it's a parasite up until the day it's born. Yeah, I mean, hey, can't argue with people like you. May God have mercy on your soul. Because God knows I won't. And neither will anybody else on this earth. Hey, Eli, remember when we were lying about the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, the Democrat organization that is now under fire for, creating a racist-based riot like the Charlottesville thing and the KKK? Well, a federal judge on Friday, last week, denied the Southern Poverty Law Center's bid to toss the criminal case and the indictment on vindictive persecution. That's what they wanted it tossed on. The SPLC wanted the judge to toss the criminal indictment against them for literally lying, getting money donated to them to fight racism and to stop white supremacy while funding white supremacy and racist groups that weren't real. That judge has decided not to toss that case, says that case will go forward, and the SPLC will be out of business when this is all said and done. It's about time. Hopefully there's some prosecutions in that precede them going out of NGO business. It's about time. Bye-bye, SPLC. See you later. Guess you shouldn't have been funding the same groups that you were raising money to fight. Dipshits. But, just another Democrat thing. They've lost the SPLC. They've lost the SPLC. They've lost the USAID. They've lost the Department of Education money. They've lost the EPA money. They've lost it all. And that's why they're broke. Isn't it weird, Eli? The first time in modern day history that the Democrat Party is broke and has almost no money compared to the Republicans is the first time that we get rid of all these government agencies. It's so weird.
As Tommy Boy would say, that's a mystery.
Remember these teen takeovers that were going into restaurants and destroying all of the equipment and everything? Here's another teen takeover in Mom Donnie's New York City, folks. Democrats, Democrat parents. Nothing to say to that one. Yesterday we talked about flock cameras, though. Here's something you might want to know about that. Flock Safety Cameras is planning to extend its surveillance networks by converting up to 350,000 Uber and Lyft vehicles, as well as delivery drivers, into roaming license plate scanners, vastly increasing real-time vehicle tracking capabilities and feeding its mass surveillance network. That's right. If you are in a Uber or Lyft in the future, you will be in a car that has been repurposed. And if you want to be an Uber or Lyft driver, you are going to have to, as a driver, fall under those guidelines, in which your car will be turned into a flock camera to get roaming license plates as you drive around the city. That's nice, isn't it? Here's a city councilwoman who's going to resign because of the pressure she's getting from their constituents in their county over data centers. The residents don't want the data centers. The city council does. This woman says she can't take it anymore. She's resigning. She's getting death threats. Well, I've been on the other side of death threats many times, including from other Republicans. Sooner or later, you get desensitized to it, and you're like, yeah. Eli, how many times have we had that happen now? You said it the other day. You're like, the fact that you're so desensitized to it is the scary part.
Actually, Jeremy, just got one a little while ago. It was the craziest thing. Somebody that I banned in the chat. Because you blocked me, I will destroy you with my own hands. God willing, you'll see. Ja, 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 ja. Get ready or run.
Yeah. While death threats are never, ever acceptable, when you shit all over your community as an elected official, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? Last but not least, Eli, you ready for this before Will comes on? You're going to love this. Guess what's coming back, Eli? Oh, here it comes. Cue that drum roll, baby. Guess what's coming back, Eli? MySpace. Ladies and gentlemen, MySpace is coming back. Who's going to go back to MySpace? Huh? Who remembers MySpace? It's coming back. They said that they will announce the launch as soon as they're ready. They're not quite ready yet, but they said timing will be of the essence, and when they launch it, it'll be the perfect time. Eli, I might have to go back to MySpace. How about you?
We owe Tom an apology. We did him dirty. He let us have music on our channels and freedom of speech. Come on back, Tom. You're welcome.
Tom just wanted to be your friend. Everybody else took your data. Let's go. I wish I could find my old account. That would be cool. Anyway, folks, Will Johnson is coming up next here on LFA TV with Culture Wars. So enjoy that show with Will Johnson. Please don't go anywhere. Give him the viewership. And, hey, if you hate him, let him know how much you hate him, too. I'm sure he'll bless you. There are right ways and wrong ways, but there's only one Yahweh. Somebody said, screw MySpace. What did MySpace ever do to anybody? MySpace didn't do anything to anybody. There's only one Yahweh, so stand up tall, keep your shoulders back, keep your chest out, keep your head up high. You are a child of God, no weapon formed against you will ever prosper. Keep your animals very far away from illegals. Keep your family and your friends safe. Keep fighting for this constitutional republic, and whatever you do, never stop spreading that gospel. God bless you guys. Will Johnson comes up next. Peace out.
I wear the armor of God now. I wear the armor of God now. Free birth of America. Been a long time coming, and we all learned something that we won't ever give it up. No way. Long as I'm bleeding, I'ma never stop screaming that we first in America.